The following podcast contains graphic violence, strong language, and nudity. Viewer discretion is advised. Boy, that hatred's gonna burn you up.
It keeps me warm.
Four guys and a movie. Four guys and a movie. Tony, Brian, Rob, and Joe reviewing movies for the show. Four guys and a movie.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the 4 a.m. podcast. My name is Rob. I'm going to be hosting today. I got to take these headphones off. Alongside the other Wolverines.
Tony.
Jebediah. Sociopath Rob.
And Comrade Joe.
I think we already have a sociopath Rob here.
Sociopath Rob wants to say a bunch of gamer words right now. We're going to do the A. What?
All right, I'm at least going to be Tony the Tiger then. Like, I don't want to be the Tony in this movie because that sucked.
Okay.
She just showed up and died.
You don't want to sit on a grenade?
Well,
That I
she-
do,
She
but-
did a few things. She delivered a picnic basket full of bombs to a tank.
She did great stuff, like, in the background, basically. But anyway.
Okay.
What movie are we doing?
Red Dawn, the first one.
Oh, the more plausible of the two?
Wait, Red Dawn? Thought we were doing Red October.
Keep going.
Maybe next, because we are on a red streak. We did Red Sonja. We're doing Red Dawn.
Didn't you already do Red October?
No, we did not.
Do you do Red Skeleton?
Yeah, we'll do Red Skeleton.
We'll do Red
We're
Skeleton,
going to do
yeah.
the entire collected works of Red Skeleton.
No, just a deep dive biography on Red Skull.
Red Skeleton. Then we'll do Turning Red. Then we'll do
Red, the movie about the girl who turns into the panther? Or the Red
That's
Panda?
Turning Red.
That's Turning Red.
Oh, that is Turning Red?
No,
Yeah.
but we could also do Red, the thing about the older...
Oh, yeah, with
assassins
John
and
Malkovich
whatnot.
and
Yeah.
Bruce Willis.
Okay, and then we'll do Clifford, the Big Red Dog.
And Red State. Those
Red
will go great
Notice.
together.
Red Notice.
Oh, yeah,
Sure.
yeah. That's a good contrast.
We are already so far away from anything.
The Red.
In fairness, this movie was never really on the
Sonja.
rails, so
Yeah, we'll do Red
we already
Sonja
did
again.
Red Sonja.
Let's
Well, yeah,
run
Red-
out of Red
Red
movies.
Sonja.
we're looping around.
Red Planet.
Red Planet. That's right. We'll do John Carter because it takes place on Mars, or he's from Mars. I don't know.
Barzoom.
Then we'll do Moms Needs Mars. I'm like, whoa,
Yeah, we'll do Mars Needs Moms.
Jesus Christ. This is getting worse.
So Red
Girls
Dawn
Are Easy.
from 1980 something.
Or
Yeah.
4. Okay. But before we get into that, we have some snacks to try out.
oh, we haven't done this in a little while.
No, it's Fat Chat Test Kitchen, and we're gonna try some candy bars. So, currently on the table, we have some Twix and Milky Way bars featuring cookie dough, artificially flavored.
Wait, is it actual cookie dough, but the
You know
flavor's
what?
artificial?
I don't know, and I don't. Okay, we also have Reese's that have Reese's Puffs cereal in them. Now, I remember we've tried a couple of Reese's.
Yeah.
It's
They
almost
have-
always a
They've not
disappointment.
been good so far. So
Well, you got a candy that the formula is perfect.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it is
put
kind of a.
something in
If
it,
it's
you
not
throw it out
broke,
of
you don't
balance.
fix
it's a
it.
good idea.
yeah,
I don't mind the Reese's Cups with the pretzel bits in it. Like,
yeah, that works.
that's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Get a little sweet and
We,
salty.
if I remember, none of them were bad. They're just like, why bother? Most of the time.
I recall like the
Pretzel
potato
bits,
chip
maybe.
one. We were like, we can't finish this.
Yeah, that was a little rough. I would say that I have the most hope for the cookie dough Twix, because Twix has proven to be a pretty good delivery vehicle for a variety of combinations.
This is true.
As long as it's not like, as long as the cookie dough doesn't end up being like chalky power bar.
Yeah, that's yeah.
I threw it on a napkin for you. I was aiming for the napkin.
The most half-hearted snack delivery. All right, Rob, you got yours?
Rob, I swear to God,
I'm getting what?
ever since I made you drink the blood of that animal,
You didn't make. You were trying to stop me. You were actively telling me to stop. You were like, "Please stop! I need to deliver those."
I was just trying to teach you how to be, respectful for your kill, not to be a murderer.
Brick was able to find his way here because you shot more than once.
But you are respecting your kill by drinking the blood.
The problem was I was shooting at him.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying he took it way too
All right,
far.
bottoms up,
Anyway,
boys.
Let's do this.
I like Twix.
Yeah, just give me a regular Twix.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Well, I mean, I like this. It's
But I want
Yeah,
that
it's-
caramel, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
not better than a regular Twix, but I wouldn't say it's bad.
No, not at all. I would say it's good, but it is kind of like it's just kind of comparable. Like if I'm forever for whatever reason was like I've had too many Twix, let me change it up. I'd have that, but otherwise, yeah, it's
I mean, I think at that point we would just put you out of your misery if you ever came here saying I had too many Twix.
well. Then you should have done that a long time ago.
Boys.
I'll tell you when he's had enough.
Well, let me squeeze one more out of the tube here. Oh, there it goes.
All right, Rob is making a terrible mess on the table.
That's fine.
It's his own table. He can make whatever mess he wants.
Yeah, I'm
John-
mainly just trying to
Johnny
Yeah.
sounded the horn of feasting.
fill in the silence while Rob is cutting things with
I
something.
mean, we have the sound of crinkling wrappers.
Yeah, he's a character on this show.
Yes.
Who's left?
All right. All right, everybody. This one's the Milky Way with cookie dough, flavored nougat.
I see caramel. I don't see any
It
cookie dough.
just looks like a regular Milky Way.
Yeah,
Kinda
it
like
does.
Three Musketeers.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
I'm on
should be
board.
interesting.
I taste a regular Milky Way.
It's chewier than a regular Milky Way, maybe a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah,
you sure it says cookie dough? I mean, the wrapper says.
I mean,
so,
the
but
wrapper, but
I feel like they just gave us a regular Milky Way.
Yeah, to me it tastes a little bit more like toffee in there or something. It's definitely not cookie dough.
I dig it.
I mean,
It's not bad, but it's just again nothing really exciting.
Yeah.
But one way or the other.
Just a gimmick to sell more bars.
Well,
if you like, we need one. If you like Milky Way, you'll like this. I mean, it just tastes like Milky Way.
yep.
I'll tell you what though about Milky Way. Milky Way's problem: they frickin' harnessed perfection in a wrapper when they made the Milky Way Midnight. None else can touch that. Joe's favorite candy bar right there.
Okay.
I don't know, man. Simply Caramel is pretty damn great.
Milky Way Midnight.
How about fun size Simply Caramel?
I don't know. I might have to do a compare contrast.
It's
on
like the
that.
perfect
Do you
ratio.
prefer Milky Way Midnight over dark chocolate Reese's?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I guess I'm fucked. It's just how I feel.
All right, everybody get their palate cleanser.
I will.
Are we just
also-
taking a cup each? Or am I cutting these things in half?
That's a big cup.
It's up to you.
That's what she said.
I mean, I'll take a whole cup.
Yeah, I could do a whole cup.
All right.
I
Also,
like big cups.
I'll eat
now.
this.
I will try and order us some T-shirts for the different candy bars: Milky Way Midnight, Dark Chocolate Reese's, and Simply
one.
Caramel.
This one will be.
And you guys
Listeners-
can wear your respective T-shirts and go in the backyard and fight out.
Listeners, I want to know. Twitter us.
Is that a
Tweet?
thing
Well-
still?
I don't know.
Can I,
think so.
can I point out a flaw to your method here, Tony? I think the fact that John could beat all our asses doesn't mean necessarily that his candy bar is the best.
But if we're dead, then it is.
It is, yeah. That's a good point.
I also think you're confusing the fact that I don't really care.
Well, thank you, sir. I'm glad that there's individual cups because I really
I'm
wasn't
admiring
interested
the
in Five Guys.
smell
one
coming
cup.
off of this, but I am afraid of these Reese's Bites in there, or whatever these Reese's Crunch.
Just put it in your mouth. Put it in your
Reese's Puffs.
All right,
motherfucking mouth.
boys.
Put it in your mouth, fat chat.
Reese's Peeps.
Yeah, it's not as good as a normal Reese's cup.
I don't know.
Yeah, no,
It's similar,
I mean,
but it's
yeah.
not.
I like the added crunch. It's a nice little thing. I do think if you're looking for the added crunch, pretzel is probably the better way to go.
yes. This is adding a weird extra flavor.
I don't know. I like the texture.
Yeah, but I'm saying the texture. Take the pretzel if you want the crunch.
So
This-
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I cut
A
you
little
off.
more airy though.
Yeah, but it's giving me a weird another taste that I don't like.
So to me, I'm not tasting
I
anything
put my dick on yours.
different from a regular peanut butter cup. So it's my mouth is just detecting it as wrong, like a peanut butter cup. That something's wrong with it.
Mine is saying it's a peanut butter cup with Rice Krispies in it.
Yeah.
Now don't get me wrong,
Uh-oh.
it's still pretty damn good.
That's right.
We're headed back to the Nestle Crunch
Yeah,
debate,
that's
aren't
right.
we? Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I think this is fine. It's not necessarily topping the standard Reese's or anything,
No.
but that's fine. It's a nice,
I don't like
added
it.
thing.
No, you don't like it at all.
Okay.
I mean, if it's the choice between this or the cookie dough Twix, I'm gonna pick this.
Yeah.
But versus any other Reese's product I have tried yet, this is my least favorite because there's something weird with the cereal puff taste that I can't quite place it.
All right, let me see if I can get this in your scale. Like, what to you is like the mid-tier, like C candy, like for like candy bars? What would you put in there?
Kit Kat.
Kit Kat is a C.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that's more like B for me.
Yeah.
Someday
okay,
we're gonna have
so
to
if I
actually
offered
hash all
you
this out.
a Kit Kat or that, which one you taking?
We need to do like a candy tier list for our Patreon.
So it's
I might actually go for the Kit Kat.
so you're thinking it's like C minus maybe for that? Like you have to think about it.
Yeah, like
Okay.
because it's not bad. I'm not gonna say this is bad, but just if I'm gonna have any kind of Reese's thing, it's not gonna be this one.
So you're like C minus on it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I'd give it like it's like a B.
Yeah.
I'll still take the Reese's peanut butter cup though.
I get almost like a burnt taste off of the cereal.
Really?
Maybe you got a bad one.
You mean?
You just put your dick on it. You didn't put it in your ass.
No, but I mean, my
But
dick is
that's
pretty
enough.
burnt.
His dick was in somebody else's ass.
Yeah,
And that was
burnt.
burnt.
It's been in the devil's anus a few times.
Oh
It's
my.
bound to get some char on it.
What do you guys do at church?
The devil's anus.
Devil?
Apparently.
Assert our dominance over Satan.
Fuck the devil.
Yeah,
Literally.
it's one of them newfangled things.
All right.
Yeah. So, anybody else got anything else to
I mean,
say?
I fucked Jesus, so why he might as well fuck devil.
Okay.
I don't want to picture the iconography here
Yeah.
that we're discussing. I instead wish to talk about Red Dawn. Tony, parachute in. Give us some information.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
With no warning. So, unfortunately, we talked about it and ruined it. But anyway, so Red Dawn from 1984, as we already discussed. Directed by John Milius, who, of course, did
Of course.
Of course.
Flight of the Intruders and Farewell to the King, which you've never heard of. But Conan the Barbarian, which... is that the one we covered?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
Or was it Destroyer?
we did Barbarian.
Okay.
Destroyer's the second one.
Yeah, I just couldn't
know there
remember
were
which one
two.
we did.
Most people try to forget the second one.
Even me. Although I am gonna make you watch it at some point.
So, I wish I had a bit more time on reading this one. Not so much because I couldn't find things, but I kept finding weird little tidbits about it. So
Best kind of bits are the tidbits.
yeah, number one, this is one of the first movies to be rated PG-13. Not the first, but that's a whole complicated thing. Apparently, this movie at one point was in the Guinness Book of World Records for how many acts of violence were in the film.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I just assumed this was R because there's a lot of blood in this film.
Yeah.
And like,
But this is 80s.
but this is
so-
PG-13, still figuring out
Yes.
its identity. Okay.
There's no F words.
Yeah, there's no boobas. So
Yeah.
no butts, no F words.
Apparently, you get your standard things like this is the debut film for one Charlie Sheen. The cast had to go into
Charlie
boot
Sheen
camp.
was in this?
Yes.
Who did he play?
One of the main guys.
Like,
Maddie, the younger brother.
yeah.
Oh.
Um,
Tiger Blood.
you'll be okay, right?
Yeah, that's why I was confused. I was like, really?
Which also makes it all the more interesting the numerous references we made to those subjects while watching this.
Yeah.
I thought you were just saying Tiger Blood, like referring to Charlie Sheen, as in like.
As in, like, he's on the screen. Yeah. we were
Well,
referring
no,
to
as
him.
in like he should be on this, but he was.
He was.
He was very young.
Apparently, it was incredibly cold while filming this, to the point where Patrick Swayze, I believe, got frostbite.
Yeah, there was at one point he was taking a picture of someone, I think it was him and his brother, out of his
Yeah.
pocket, and he looked genuinely pissed that he had to take his gloves off to get the picture out and unfold it.
Probably. Although it's from what I could hear, everyone, for the most part, I think enjoyed it. Well, no, I shouldn't. But they built a gas station that at one point some tourists, numerous tourists, were pulling up to try and actually fill up. They brought in some Russian tanks that apparently the CIA were interested in, and had a little chat with the producers and stuff because they didn't realize it was for a movie.
How do you?
Don't you need to get like permits and shit?
Yeah.
You're supposed to.
Okay.
Much like everyone who was watching the movie, the CIA was like, "How did you get those tanks here?"
Yeah.
Dropped him in by parachute, of course.
But,
Haven't you seen the A-Team movie, Joe?
Oh, I fucking saw the A-Team.
What?
What?
I think he wants a drink.
Oh, you want a drink?
Yeah, the fridge behind you. He's
Oh, I thought he's pointing at Tony.
I thought he was too. I thought he was like.
Yes, I want to
boost
drink
up.
Tony.
Yeah, he's either going to drink my blood or suck my dick. Either way, I'm not sure this is.
we're
I was trying to keep it off microphone, but
We just ate
So,
candy bars.
I found
It's
that
like,
out.
I appreciate
I
it.
found that out a long time ago. If you try to signal at anyone, everyone will stop talking and
Well, yeah,
play
unfortunately.
charades with you.
Charades for the retarded.
That 5 of the paratroopers that were in the opening of this movie actually got blown way off course. One of them getting caught in a tree and had to awkwardly explain to the people that found him that he was not actually
a Russian
soldier.
paratrooper.
Yeah, trying
So
to invade.
that could have gone terribly
That's
wrong.
how that works for paradrops. That always happens.
And again, I wish I could have found out more about this because I don't know what it means or I don't know. But apparently the director, John Milius, as I said, carried a loaded pistol when he was making this movie
Yeah.
Sure.
for reasons.
In case there were Russian.
You never
influence.
need a reason, Tony.
Sure.
Yeah.
America.
Charlie Sheen gets out of hand.
This was well before, well, no, maybe. So want to guess how much this movie cost to make?
There were a lot of pyrotechnics and a lot of large vehicles.
But apparently no permits.
25 million.
I'm going to say 30 million.
35 million. 40 million.
32.
Oh.
It was 17.
Oh, we all
All
overshot.
right.
Which is surprising because, that was the other thing, and I'm shocked more people didn't get hurt because no CGI, no composite
Yeah.
shots. It's all real explosions and shit.
There's like a lot of extras in this movie. Like a lot of people, a lot of equipment.
A lot of terrain.
But want to guess how much it made?
During the 80s, I could see this attracting a lot of people.
I'm going to say
I know it was successful.
I'm going to say 70.
I'm feeling 50. Wait, no, 40.
40 million?
Yeah.
80 million.
45.
I was 38.
Oh, we all overshot again.
Okay.
I think your
No one wins.
I mean,
your 80s math is a little.
I'm not
Yeah.
upset about that.
It is 84, so yeah, I should have gone lower.
Well, it's understandable.
Yep.
And especially, I think now we know it more to be this kind of, I don't know, was it a cult classic or just a classic, whatever you want to call it, but
I would say that this is kind of a cult classic. It feels niche enough and weird in some ways enough, but
oh, definitely. Oh, yeah.
So normally I would now pull out my phone to look at the cast list, but you don't need to do that for this fucking movie. Everyone's in here. Like, if you're playing the movie game, this is how you get out of like most like 80s cinema.
The
Yeah,
Sways Meister.
yeah.
Well,
You got
this and JFK, and I think you're pretty good.
was JFK in the 80s though?
That was the
No.
90s, wasn't it?
What?
Yeah.
I just mean like if you're playing a movie game.
Oh yeah, I was talking about if you're in the 80s in the movie game.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
JFK is like your 90s.
Oh, you mean in the movie game? I'm
Yeah.
thinking of playing a movie
What?
game. Never mind.
you're not talking about the president, are you?
No.
Nope.
Okay.
Well, sort of. I
right.
was kind of, but don't worry.
So,
Anyhow,
you got yourself a Patrick Swayze as Jeb, the leader of this ragtag band of teenage hooligans.
Young and so sexy.
You got yourself a Charlie Sheen in his debut role
Young and so
as Matt,
sexy.
young and sexy. You got C. Thomas Howell as Robert the sociopath.
Young and so sexy.
Yeah. You got
If you think Steve-O is sexy.
And who doesn't?
Yeah. So he's murder Steve-O.
He is. Yes, he is. He's angry murder Steve-O.
Yeah. So then you got fucking Leah Thompson and Jennifer Grey, like in a 1-2 punch there.
Young,
Young and
so
so sexy.
I know one of them's named Jennifer Grey was Tony. I honestly forgot what Leah Thompson's character's name was because I think you hear it like once, and then
Nell?
That was yeah.
It's not now.
Rat girl.
She might have been. I still don't know who that was.
And then I believe it was Ben Savage was Danny.
Yeah.
Like
Young
from
and
Wonder
so
Years?
sexy.
Nope.
Oh,
I think his brother though.
Yeah.
And then some other kid was Aardvark.
what?
Not very sexy.
Not too sexy.
Doug Toby.
But he had a lot of competition. In fairness, he probably could have been sexy were he not standing next to just a fucking
Right,
rack of
80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, wait till we do the Young Guns films.
Oh,
And Leia Thompson
oh,
was
man.
Erica.
Erica.
It's the 80s
No wonder I blocked that out of my
Expendables.
And a whole lot of quote unquote Russians.
What else got like
Cuban.
some
Yeah.
Harry
I mean,
Dean Stanton? And,
Yeah.
yeah, you did get a Harry Dean Stanton in there.
Avenge me!
yeah.
Out of no damn where.
I forgot who the mayor was, but he's
He's been,
Yeah.
yeah, the mayor was the lawyer
Perpetual
from
slime ball.
Cousin Vinny.
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
A couple others.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
The,
been in stuff. He always plays the same. Like,
Well, yeah, but also
greasy-
like one or two of the other dads were like notable people that I cannot remember. But anyway,
Maybe, I don't know.
the one I know the one bad guy we were supposed to feel sympathy for was in a ton of blaxploitation films.
yeah,
Okay.
Um,
Petey Wheatstraw.
no, but
anyway,
Bitch, are you for real?
he might have been. That's not even the right thing.
I know, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
yeah.
Yes, please.
So
I'm gonna put those in the gray bowl right there.
knowing what we know now about the Soviet Union at the time and Russia, like the beginning exposition of this film, you're just like, how did that happen? How did that happen? How did that happen? Like,
Yeah.
None of this makes any
They
sense.
also they don't give you a lot of time to read that.
No.
Like
No, yeah.
it goes by
Well, they hit you with a lot fast.
because
yeah.
they know it's bullshit. And they're-
Which also, by the way, does not stop at the beginning of this
Yeah.
movie. Like,
The
it
communists take over Mexico. The NATO dissolves.
you're like, what? How?
Yeah, you're like, can you explain just a little bit more? Just
No.
yeah, just just give me like 1 or 2 sentences about how that happened.
Basically, a whole lot of bad shit went wrong with the rest of the world
Yeah.
for this to become
Did
possible.
the, did the
but
U.S.
possible.
Navy sink? Like,
It's like
The Air Force,
Yeah.
not nowhere.
nope.
Just helicopter.
Yeah.
NATO dissolved. How?
Yeah.
Did NATO even respond, or was their only response to dissolve?
Yeah. The Cubans sabotage strategic air commands somehow.
Yeah, somehow.
Yeah. At least as highly implausible as the newer Red Dawn is. At least they were like, an EMP wiped out all our stuff, and there was a massive cyber attack that took away our military's ability to network and all that. Still doesn't explain how the fuck North Korea takes us over, but
Yeah, I mean, even with that, I would imagine that there would be a lot of creative liberties with how realistic that would be.
well, yeah, they wouldn't even be able to fly across the Pacific. Like,
Well, it's just like an EMP blast.
Yeah.
Like, we're not a tiny island. There's a lot of ground you'd need to cover, and a lot of things where they're like, yeah, we'll probably think of that when we're designing these things.
so this is the more plausible of the Red Dawn movies, but it's still highly
I
implausible.
didn't realize there were more than.
Yeah, there's a remake where North Korea is the one. It was China.
So it was just the new one and then
Yeah.
this one. Okay.
So it was a MGM was making it as they were going bankrupt, and they were pretty much done. So they finished it. And then they were like, we might want to release this in China. You probably shouldn't have the Chinese invading us. So they're like, fuck it, make it the North Koreans. Everyone was like,
And take Chadwick Boseman off the poster.
yeah.
Wow.
How do you even remake this movie in like a post 9/11 world? It's not.
Well, there's in like a post Columbine and Sandy Hook world.
Yeah, in a post
like
world.
There's a lot going on in this film. I could see after the Ukraine conflict, I could see making this movie set there.
Sure.
That could work because all this shit's happening there.
And we're just paratrooping in trillions of dollars.
It would work in the sense of like Russia's invading.
Yeah.
But holy crap, all of the kids and the adults would be shooting the shit out of the Russians.
Yeah.
Because
this
is normal for Ukraine.
So, all right. Bottom line, this movie already kind of fails in the exposition. But then, we cut to it's in September. We're in a random Midwestern town that I found out later was called Calumet. And we see a statue of Teddy Roosevelt, and we see a Patrick Swayze in a truck with a C. Thomas Howell and a Charlie Sheen, and he drops them off at high school.
Yep.
And he's like, I'm gonna go fucking be Patrick Swayze, just be my badass self with my pickup truck.
Yeah, I get it. I don't even know because he doesn't have
Does he have a
school?
job? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
establishing he's the older one who's already out of school.
So
They did make jokes that he had never lost a football game.
Yep.
He's like, I don't remember that.
They're all football bros. Charlie Sheen and Patrick Swayze are actual bros. And we go to learn about Genghis Khan and the Great Hunt. Talking about people getting encircled and slaughtered and whatnot. And then you're hearing a lot of aircraft. And then all of a sudden, just people parachuting in. Get some random Cuban
Somebody yells
paratroopers.
Cobra and a bunch of people drop down in the sky.
Cobra!
I mean,
This is
if I was
actually
going to do an airdrop, a Midwestern school would be my primary target.
this is actually less plausible than the Cobra paradrop in the G.I. Joe movie.
On the Statue of Liberty.
On the Statue of Liberty with the music video. This is more ridiculous somehow.
So the thing with the paradrop is like I like it. It was accurate where you noticed when they dropped, they didn't have any guns or anything, and they had to go to a container and actually retrieve their weapons and stuff. You're dropping very lightly armed infantry that have like no supplies for an extended campaign, will miss their drop points and just be like scattered all over everything.
In the middle of the Midwest.
Yeah, way to fuck away from the rest of your army. Like, paradrops work if you do it right where you're about to attack, and those guys cause a bunch of chaos behind the scenes while
you
your
mean
main
like
force attacks.
Like in Kyiv?
Yeah.
After multiple previous failed attempts, just keep right in the
Well, again,
center of the
presumably your army should catch up to you, but it didn't. So,
yeah.
Anyway,
But now you're in a town of 400 people.
yeah. So the teacher's like, I'm going to go outside and talk to these people.
Which, what the fuck?
Because, I mean, at this point, he's probably like, those are some American soldiers that did something wrong.
Yeah, it's a
It's
weird
Nazi.
military
He
operation.
should probably know where they
He did actually say those boys are way off course.
Yeah.
It's like,
Note to, and maybe this is just me, but like, I don't give a fuck. I'm talking you through a window. I am not just walking out in front of people with a bunch of guns
So-
like, hey, I'm over here.
I'd like to say that this...
also this teacher is apparently in charge of the school because no one else goes outside. It's just that teacher.
I don't think other teachers work at this school.
It's just him. He's the principal, the superintendent. the
everyone
teacher,
else is running out the
custodian.
back door.
Well, yeah, they're like, fuck this noise.
I think the whole
going
school
home.
was only like twice the size of Rob's house here.
So anyway, like, growing up, I remember just always thinking this scene was super implausible because, like, why did the Russians just drop in and immediately they shoot this dude? They fire an RPG down the school's hallways and just start firing their guns into classrooms. But
Well, because, wasting the ammunition that you carried
Yeah.
in
Right,
with
yes.
you
You have
is...
two
is-
containers of ammo
Yeah.
and weapons, and you're going to use them all on this school.
Yeah, absolutely.
just so, unfortunately, over the course of
We're
the
taking
events
over.
of last year, we see that this is indeed what Russians do. So it's not that unplausible.
And in all fairness,
Yeah.
I think 80% of the population of this town is in that school, so
Yeah.
But they had to cross an ocean to do it.
Yeah. And I keep saying Russians, but these are, at this point, they're Cubans. But I'm just going to keep saying Russians because they're all fighting on the
You could say Soviets,
Soviet
I
side.
guess.
yeah, invaders, Soviets.
the
yeah.
Warsaw Pact.
Communist.
Mm-hmm.
Commie
All
bastards.
right. So Patrick Swayze shows up in his pickup truck, and he's like, you ain't getting me. You could RPG the school bus, that's fine, but I'm getting my brother, getting Robert, getting some kid named Arturo, some kid named Danny, and we're driving away on this pickup truck. And for a movie that's damn near 2 hours long, this movie leaves you with tons of questions and spends no time introducing any character. Because they pull up to a gas station, there's just this guy, and you're like, I think that's Robert's dad, but I'm not sure. And he's just like, just go in my store, take all my stuff.
Yeah. Here's
Get
some
outta here.
guns and ammo, I guess.
Yeah.
Here's
Pork
some
chop
food.
sandwiches, get out of here.
So
Run for your life.
you do get the shot of like, you could have you could have my gun for my cold dead fingers, and there's a VDV paratrooper just stomping on his hand and taking the pistol.
But it's so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I said while we were watching this, nobody with that bumper sticker has that gun.
Well, nowadays, but maybe back then,
Well.
that's the best you can get.
He'd have that gun tucked in his pants, but he'd
Right.
have another gun.
Right, he'd have a shotgun in the passenger seat.
And against the wave of paratroopers, what was his plan with that pistol? It didn't work because you see like
Yeah, what's anybody's plan
Yeah,
for anything in this?
Who
Because
knows?
again,
Maybe he took at least one out with him.
because here's my thing. You did kind of touch on this, so if we go back for a moment, but like, yeah, we get to the gas station where we're loading up on everything, and like, okay, I get that, shit's going crazy. We need to stockpile, whatever.
Yeah.
And obviously, this is the father of one of the kids, and it's not really built up, but it doesn't really matter because he's not gonna last long in this movie. Spoiler alert. But it is that thing of like, okay, I get it, because he's like, Dad, oh, we're worried, whatever. So I get that's his dad,
Yeah.
but I still don't know who that is.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is happening?
So they take a bunch of Campbell's soup and a bunch of Coke and Sprite and some
survival
Wheaties.
stuff.
They get like a hunting rifle, shotgun, and a bow and arrow, and they're off into the they're gonna escape into the mountains.
Yeah.
But
I do like that they took an entire box of arrows and not like how you see nowadays where you got
Small
somebody with a
quiver.
quiver with 3 arrows in it and lasts the whole movie.
I would have loved though when they were hunting, when Patrick Swayze had the bow, if just like Danny or someone was running with the box of arrows because they forgot the quiver.
It's a squire.
Yeah. So anyway, they're driving away. Oh, we see the kid Arturo / Aardvark. His dad gets taken by the paratroopers, and they're driving away, and they come upon this roadblock, and now you're like, that's like a BMP or some kind of like infantry fighting vehicle that the Russians have, in addition to some other like cars and trucks. How the fuck did that get there?
And why are they paratrooping people in if they've already got wheeled vehicles in the area?
Yeah.
Like, there should be a base. Did you just feel like going for an expedition and
Yeah,
take
I
a
mean,
different way to get to this town?
I think that was the thing, is that they were doing the Joe, or trying to execute the tactic that Joe was talking about, where they paratroop guys in, and then the rest of the ground forces are rolling in there.
From where?
Yeah, they got
Yeah,
there.
I mean,
The colonel explained it later that
Through Mexico, right?
Yeah.
they came up through Mexico. Yeah, they sent a whole bunch of infiltrators over as illegal immigrants prior to the actual invasion force.
So there's an explanation, but like, I don't buy that this is obviously like the Midwest, not like the Southwest.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Like if this was in Arizona or something, I'd buy that.
El Paso.
Well, again,
Yeah.
and this
But-
might be a great example, just to sum up kind of my major issue with this movie is we start out with a bunch of text that gives you a whole lot of information about crazy shit that
Yeah.
happened real fast. Then we just go to a school.
Crazy, implausible shit.
Yeah, we go
And they
to
know
a
you're not going to buy it.
we go to a school where a bunch of crazier shit starts happening and whatever. And I think we're led to believe that a bunch of crazy shit happened in between that also just never gets properly explained.
I would have believed it was like a bunch of classic cars with weapons just taped to the sides.
I mean,
rolled up through Cuba and Mexico.
I gotta say, like, the implied speed at which this invasion happened, just based on the teacher assuming that it was like ROTC doing training and something went wrong and they landed in the wrong area, he had no clue
Yeah.
No context.
Yeah.
No
Oh, yeah, this
reason
is
to
all
suspect.
happening very
So it just
quickly.
instantaneously happened. You don't just fly airplanes over the airspace of the U.S. instantaneously make it to the Midwest. It just doesn't happen. You physically cannot just do that.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense.
I'll buy their explanation of they disguised them as passenger flights, and they had somehow made a way to get it to fool them to be like they thought they were passenger planes and they were full of paratroopers. But you didn't get the BMP there. You didn't get like you see later. There's heavy tanks. Like there's no way you got that there.
Later, they were saying that there were nuke strikes. Like
Oh, we'll get to that.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it is kind of like, so am I led to believe that this tank made it up from Mexico to Colorado in what, a day?
Yeah.
Also, knowing what we know right now, if you just let a Russian tank drive, like don't oppose it, just let it drive there, it'll break down.
Yeah, it's not making it.
It'll just be a chassis by
No,
the time
it won't even break down. The people in it will have sold the gasoline and the parts and just been like, we're Americans now.
Yeah, they'll get to the first gas station and sell all the wires. And
They'll be Flintstone in that piece of shit.
yeah.
I do like the people in Ukraine with everything going on. A lot of them have been riding Wolverine on a bunch of the tanks. And
Really?
things and stuff.
Have
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Very nice.
All right.
I did not know that. That's
Swastikas,
awesome.
Am I right?
So they're pulling away from this roadblock, and they just unload. The Russians just unload, like they fire the BMP's cannon at it. They like fire some machine guns at the truck. The truck takes a couple hits
School children.
at school children. Yep.
At a pickup truck full of school children.
Well, they
because
didn't
threat.
do what they were supposed to do at the roadblock.
Fair.
So,
They did what you would expect them to do at the roadblock.
which means you get to shoot them.
Yeah.
So,
John, you want a lady in a Cheetos with me?
I do not want to see that.
I'll get my camera out.
There's no way you're
also-
doing that without getting
Is
uncomfortably close to
camera
me.
code for your dick?
Do you want that out?
So
I don't want any of this to happen.
I also just
Yeah.
nitpick, but like, why did you not see that roadblock way earlier? But
Well,
I think they couldn't
Plot.
tell if it was Russians or not first.
no,
It's a roadblock.
everyone you
that.
come
Yeah.
across
Yeah.
has
They know
shot
that
at
for
you.
sure.
Avoid them.
yeah. It's,
Also, it wasn't that big of a thing,
I'm
but I mainly
grasping at
wanted to change
straws.
subjects. So, continue.
All right, so then this American helicopter, the American choppers show up and blow this thing up.
they flew all the way from
Senior
Connecticut.
and
It was
Senior
Sikorsky.
Tuttle. And,
Yeah.
That's why there's only a few left, because the rest of them ran out of gas.
All right.
So, yeah, and now we get this movie flies through a lot of scenes where you're like, can we stop and explore that a little bit?
Can you tell me why the U.S.
Anything?
military
But no-
has not squashed this immediately?
Now
Like,
we have to stop the movie and waste an entire minute getting Danny to piss in the fucking radiator.
yeah,
which,
well,
Like, I actually forgot to look this up, but
Uh-huh.
I'm very confident that is not a good idea.
I mean, if it's that or
Yeah,
nothing.
in a pinch, you could probably.
Yeah.
Although I did point out, like,
Also, Canada. Fuck Canada. Like,
yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
come on.
like, where's Canada and all this?
Oh, they talk about that later.
oh yeah, we'll get there.
They're at home, washing their tights,
Yeah.
But also, I
putting on their blackface.
my
What? Okay. What? I have
missed
no
something,
idea.
yeah.
I'm gonna go
think-
refill my water.
We
either
all
we
missed
all
something
did
there.
or
I'm gonna
maybe
take
the world
all the
did.
Doritos out of the Munchies mix and
It's put them aside.
put them
Yeah.
over there for.
All right.
But the other thing, I just like whether, regardless of how good urine works for your vehicle, trying to get someone to stand on the bumper and pee into the bottle, not the way to do that. Like pee in a cup, pour it in.
Yeah.
But anyway,
No, this is
Not a good
1984.
smell.
All four men watched him piss in that radiator. So
You got to
anyway,
make sure that he does it.
yeah.
You know.
And now,
And at one point, one of them called him a faggot.
probably, yeah. It's 1984. So
but not. We don't see that or hear that.
yeah. So now we get just a random night battle back in Calumet, and we get introduced to the two Cuban guys. There's like a general and a colonel, and the copy of the DVD that I was given did not have subtitles. So
That's right. Rob didn't turn ours on.
Yeah.
Until half. I was like, I'm pretty sure we're supposed to have subtitles.
So I don't know what these guys are saying, but you could tell just by the look of them. The colonel guy is like, I don't know if we should be as evil. And the general's like, we should totally be evil.
Yeah.
And, and like it just moves on from there. So now we get this kid, Daryl, who's the mayor's son, and he's the student body president. And he thinks that means shit in the court of Patrick Swayze. And he tries to do a little mutiny here. First off, you got a Charlie Sheen to worry about. And then when his older brother is a Patrick Swayze, I don't know what the fuck Daryl thinks was going to happen here. But he gets his ass whooped immediately.
Imagine trading in an Emilio Estevez for a Patrick Swayze.
Oh, man.
You just leveled up.
That is like a
upgrade.
level up. That's like, yeah.
Also, they fight right through this fire too.
Patrick Swayze don't give a
They
shit.
don't care.
This was 3 years later. He'd rip this kid's throat out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also,
He's the cooler. He don't care about fire.
and also from everything I read, they were probably just like, I want the warmth. I don't like my pants on fire. I don't give a shit.
It's like, I'm a dancer. I'll still kick the shit out of you.
And so everyone has a good cry. And Patrick Swayze is like, if you want to leave, you want to give up, leave. Otherwise, you're staying with me and you're following everything I say.
Including lighting a fire on the top of a mountain when you're trying to hide.
Well, it's that or freeze to death.
Yeah, that's
At least do a Dakota fire.
Yeah.
It's underground.
So in fairness, like I will give the movie that Patrick Swayze and Martin Sheen or Charlie
sure.
Sheen.
Can you
No,
even imagine that? Though?
yes, and I'm loving
That
it.
Winnie the Pooh looking motherfucker, like
so the two of them have been coming to these mountains
chasing baby
for,
ghosts
like,
all over the mountains.
for their whole life. So I'm assuming they're in a spot where they know, like, unless a helicopter flies over, they're not gonna spot us.
This is where our dad beat us that time.
Yeah. All right. So now
It is implied that had happened multiple times in their
Yeah,
childhood.
kind
I
of.
mean, no, it's implied that their dad was hard on them, and not like he was abusive.
Well, but it's very ambiguous. Like he's like, I was tough on you. You might not have liked me a couple times because of the stuff I did or whatever. And it's
This
like,
is where I tied you down and burned you with cigarettes until you
yeah.
didn't scream
It's-
anymore.
It's not clear how far he went with it, but
this is where I made you eat raw squirrel until you learned how to cook
I
it
made you,
yourself.
bare minimum, I made you drink blood.
drink deer
Yeah.
blood.
Yeah.
yeah, we do know he did that.
We
Yeah.
get to that right now because it cuts. It's October now, and we go to some hunting. And in a bit of irony, like we have this little talk from Charlie Sheen and Patrick Swayze about how you never shoot twice because Robert, he's hunting with them, he shoots a deer. Shoot twice, they'll know where you are.
Yeah.
Every other battle in this movie, they just have automatic gunfire
yeah.
going
Shoot nonstop, yeah.
continuously.
Also, it's not like you're triangulating a cell phone. It's
Yeah.
not. You shoot twice, it's better than if you shot once for them to be able to figure out which direction it was, but still don't know where you are.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think the idea, like, in a battle, all bets are off, but when you're hunting, there's no need for the second shot, and it will just alert people to your...
Yeah, he
you
was
know.
talking about the Indian Wars where if you shot twice, the Indians would be able to... I'm sorry, Native Americans would be able to
First Nation peoples.
find...
Don't push it, Rick.
Just
would be able to figure out where you were and
need a
then
Dorito.
kill you. Yeah, Dorito rub. Dorito
So,
rub.
either way, after
Also, that buck would not have just dropped like it did. You have to chase them.
Usually.
It's not fun.
Robert's
Yeah.
a stone cold killer, he just doesn't know it yet.
He's got it in his soul.
Yeah. So now, in a bit of ominous, like, foreboding for things to come, they make Robert drink the deer blood, drink the deer's spirit. It's we do the
great
first time
idea.
you kill a deer, apparently. And
You're sharing in the deer's misery by also sharing its parasites.
they say it changes you. And Robert sure does like the deer blood. He's like, this ain't bad at all.
Oh yeah, he's
Can
getting.
I have yours?
He's like Deer Blood Bukkake fan.
So he's just like, I just need one reason to go crazy. And the movie's like, we got one
you
loaded
go.
up. Don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
Here you go.
We got that loaded in a chain gun.
Yeah. So
I think he already passed that, like, because he's just like, I killed the thing. I felt kind of bad about it, but then I watched you gut it and you made me drink its blood. So everything can die. I don't care.
I mean, the smell of freshly cutting into a carcass is pretty intoxicating.
Okay.
I'll take
Or
your word for that.
nauseating.
No, it smells so good, Brick.
I
All
imagine
that
if
blood and meat.
I imagine if you killed it too, like that probably helps.
if you're already on the adrenaline high of having been
You're
the one.
so hard. You're in a copper wonderland.
Yes.
So now we go
You
back.
don't need to know.
So this movie has weird like information conveyance issues as well. Because like they just shoot the deer and they're like, oh, so they're doing well hunting, and it cuts to them eating like a can of their last can of Campbell's soup, and they're like, we can't find food, we got to go
Yeah.
to town. And they're like, you just did.
Well,
Like,
so no, it's this weird conversation. He's because I feel like the mayor's son is refusing to eat the meat that
That
they're
he might be.
hunting, but they don't explain that. So
Yeah.
he says, "We're out. This is the last can."
yep, just the stuff you caught.
Just the stuff, and they're like, "Well, we have the stuff we caught, or it's just the stuff that you caught
Yeah.
left." And he makes that comment as though it's not food.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I was kind of trying to say before, where the movie kind of functions like, steal underwear, profit.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I think there's there's another element there we totally missed.
You also can't just live off of venison alone.
You can.
And it's I wish you could, because that would be
There are
paradise.
people that have
But-
meat only diets, meat exclusive diets.
For a month, you probably can.
No, there are people that have been doing it for years.
Yeah.
But I think
For
the
health
bigger thing is we
They-
don't know what's going on, but we
Yeah.
see them shoot
living in
one
the
deer.
conditions that they were. They
Yeah.
would need to be finding a source of carbohydrates and various
Yeah.
other vitamins and minerals that they need to be properly nourished.
But also, we see them shoot one deer after they've been there for 2 months. So we don't know how much meat they're actually getting as
And
well.
how much
that's-
of it was cleanly harvested.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, because like you only ever see a success, and then they're just like, oh, we don't have any food.
So with special effects, there's a trick where the amount of time you spend putting into details and realism into the special effect gives you a certain amount of time that you can have it on screen
Yeah.
before people would be like, that is bullshit. That's kind of what I'm getting from more or less all of the information in this movie. The faster they send it to you, and then they're like, okay, now look at this. You don't have time to figure out what the fuck you just saw.
They're trying
and
to-
you just move on.
They're trying to
You're
distract
like,
you
what the
from
fuck
how
is that?
absurd
What the fuck is
the plot actually is.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I could give you that, but they weirdly do. They spend more time on weirder little
Yeah.
elements, which is what bugs me about.
And then it's like the movie will step on the brakes and then will fly 100 miles an hour for a while and then slam on the brakes again.
I'm totally on board with them being like, I'm gonna explain to you how we got the U.S. got nuked, and just we're gonna just breeze past that, because if you take a moment to realize that won't make sense,
That might not
we don't
have
want to
any,
give that to
any
you.
repercussions
Yeah,
whatsoever. Don't worry
that's-
about that.
That's fine, but
I thought they specified no nuke.
no, they
There's
they
nukes.
don't after, but that's
Yeah,
we'll get there.
we'll
Yeah,
get
we'll,
there.
we'll
But
get there.
but my problem is, again, we find out about was it Danny? I don't even remember. His father at the gas station. We still
Trejo.
haven't learned
It's
who Danny. Robert. That was Robert.
Yeah.
Okay. But we
Doesn't
haven't even
matter.
learned who Robert is yet. Or again, we spend time with peeing into the engine to
That's
make it
important
run.
stuff, Tony.
I don't know who these characters are. That's
Yeah.
important stuff.
Boy,
I don't give
boy
a
who pees
fuck.
in Radiator, boy who is older than other boy.
No, I
and then
understand
girls,
you're
and
trying
then
to
done.
kind of set something up, but you're not. No, it's not
I
working.
think so. I think the point is you're supposed to connect with them not based on their previous life experience, but you're supposed to connect with them through the events that they go through.
That's fine, but you're
You just don't know any of their names.
You're spending time on weird elements that don't add
Yeah.
enough to their
Oh, yeah.
character,
Yeah.
and ignoring bigger things that should add to their character.
All right. So
Well, they tell you that the one kid is the mayor's son, so you know that he's going to be the one that betrays them.
Well, early on, they also said that he's the class president.
yeah, well, and he's the one that's least interested in
Yeah, we got
what's going on.
the
right?
young
He's the
one, the
person that
posh
wants to,
one,
turn themselves
Give
the
in.
ourselves
brothers.
up,
yeah.
I get
So
it.
You're clearly England.
So, they go into town now, and I've already complained about it, but there's there's like these anti-aircraft tanks. There's some T-72s driving around. There's like it's a whole fucking
a town
occupation
full of
forces in
problems.
here. Yeah, and you're like, damn, they got here quick.
Yeah,
And
almost by magic.
Well, that's yeah. I don't know how that happened, but that makes sense. That after a month, like
Nobody knows how it.
you need to have. I suppose you need to have that there, otherwise you're
Yeah.
not going to maintain that territory
Well, yeah.
very long.
They drove up from Cuba.
yep,
Well, yeah, and I,
from Cuba.
Yeah. They drove
They
their
hit a
tanks.
sweet jump in Cuba and landed in the Midwest.
That's what the colonel said.
was this during a moonfall? Like, how the hell did they manage that?
Did I have Moses parted the seas? Like,
I know. Yeah, we'll just make
No,
the
it's
tanks airtight.
Mojes.
We can drive on the bottom of the ocean. We're fine.
so you actually can do that, but only to like 30 feet.
Yeah, it's not. You're not getting
Yeah,
across the ocean.
you're not crossing the Gulf of Mexico.
Guys, they did it during low tide. It's okay. No, but yeah, so Mexico fell,
Mexico had a socialist revolution.
Yeah,
which allowed Russia to put all their
Cuba.
tanks.
yeah, again,
But Russia and Cuba to put all their tanks and shit.
Yeah.
Those were Russian and Cuban vehicles, right?
Well,
Or
Cuba
they-
would be using Russian vehicles.
Yeah, Cuba and Russia had a thing going.
So Russia sent all their vehicles over to Cuba.
Then
and
moved
Cuba
them to
moved them
Mexico.
over to Mexico.
Somehow the U.S. Navy did not stop that.
again, this is to Brick's point of don't think about that. We got other things
Yeah.
to do now.
Right, yeah.
People are firing at you. You got to run.
They were like, is that a blue-crested warbler?
So, again, stuff growing up with this movie that I thought was, was kind of weird. Kind of makes sense with what we've seen over the last year. Like, there's the Friendship Center, the Russian American Friendship Center, where there's like crazy curfews. There's they
makes
go in
sense.
the store. There's nothing in the store. And it's like, yeah, that's all kind of what's going on in occupied
New York.
cities. Yeah, and New York. But anyway, so they go into the store.
Los Angeles.
There's like a KGB agent walking around the upper floor of the store. The woman running the shop's like, yo, you can't be here. They're looking for you.
Which what?
Because I guess they came in, they got like records of the town of everyone there and tried to account for everybody.
By records of the town, you mean just like yearbook.
At one point, I
like 50
distinctly
people in this
remember,
town.
and actually, you might not have seen this guy. I don't remember if it was in the closed captions or not. They said, go into the sports store
Yes.
and ask for form blah, 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 blah. And it will have the records of everybody who has
Yes. I remember.
and,
Yeah.
Our
firearm.
our subtitles were not turned on for that part, but I remember that from
Yeah.
watching this movie.
Yeah.
So, like,
Okay.
I'm thinking
Which-
to myself, maybe recent sales. And granted, this is in the 80s, but I'm not really sure they would just have that at the sporting goods store.
In a
No,
small town.
They have to keep them on file for several years.
Oh, okay. At the store, though.
At the store.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
there's a copy that's usually sent to the state.
Okay.
The bigger question for me
There's
is
also the federal form that the ATF gets on file.
Hmm.
That's why we already have a gun registry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also
I just didn't know that it would be at, like, Dick's Sporting Goods.
you go to the guy who runs the gun store in a small town and just interrogate him till he tells you everyone that
Yeah,
buys
I
ammo
guess.
from him.
But that is my bigger thing is just the like you just invaded the U.S. At least this town or whatever. Oh, I guess we'll get into how many territories they've taken over and whatever. But is your top concern a group of teenagers?
It is now.
Yeah.
Because apparently the rest of the town didn't put up any fight.
I guess
Because that's realistic, too.
because I mean I would think they would just be like 15-year-olds ran out into the woods. They're not gonna make it. Okay,
yeah.
move on.
No, knowing what we know now, they would have just lied and said they got everybody. Yeah,
That
like the
too,
person whose
yeah.
job that was
Yeah, oh,
would just
yeah.
be like, "We did it. It's done."
Which at one point
They try at the end of the movie. Yeah.
the other guy was like, "No, we're not doing that."
So yeah, they find out there's camps. People who might cause trouble are being taken there at the old drive-in. So we go there to super sad time in the movie where Harry Dean Stanton shows up, a freshly beaten Harry Dean Stanton, and he's playing Matt and Jeb's father, and he's like, "Don't cry anymore. You got to be a man. Don't cry for me ever."
Yeah.
And
Don't cry for me, Argentina.
This movie has a very like it's got this underlying thing of like masculinity and like what, you know, the whole like you got to be tough, and then seeing how that becomes more and more of a farce as the movie goes on, as one by one they all break back down.
Yeah, you can see a lot of ugly crying in this movie.
Yeah. So, either way, he's like, you know, Robert's like, "Where's my dad?" And he's like, "Your dad's dead. You remember all that food he gave you at the gas station?" Turns out the Russians didn't like that and killed him.
He starved to death because he didn't have any of that food.
Well, they called it something. It was like
Collaborating.
collaborating with
Guerrillas.
with rebel
Yeah.
guerrilla warfare.
Dude's
specialists,
like,
yeah.
I never even seen a gorilla. I never went to the zoo. My dad wouldn't take me.
So
Is
then,
that a strafing gorilla? What's that?
as they leave after, you know, everyone has a good cry, suddenly their dad is just like,
That's a surfing girl.
"Boy, avenge me!"
Avenge me! Yells it really loud.
Yep.
Well, he looked around to see if any of the Russians were paying attention.
Kill all these
And when he saw
people.
that they were, he yelled it really loud.
Well, yeah, that's a like. I'm not gonna live much longer, so fuck
Yeah.
it.
Well, you'll notice when it comes time for reprisals, guess who's first in line?
yeah.
All right. So now, again, this movie has a lot of trouble with who the fuck is anybody, because they just go to a cabin and there's this old man and, you know, this old lady there, and you're just, who are you?
Yeah.
How'd you get here?
Doesn't matter. It's,
No, it does. It fucking does.
Just-
Because I'm like, what the hell is happening?
Just 5 seconds. Patrick Swayze goes,
There-
"Hey, I know a guy who can help us,
yeah.
you know, near our camp.
yeah.
You know, his name is this. Let's go there."
Hey, my dad's old friend lives on the outskirts of
Yeah.
town. Whatever.
5
You
seconds.
know.
That's all it would have taken.
His dad in that scene at the camp could have been like, "Hey, go see this guy. He
Yeah.
can help you."
Yeah.
Instead, they just show up and he's like, hey, by the way, for some reason, they're not bothering me.
Yeah,
I don't
they're
know
just hanging out
why.
with a
But I
fire,
also have
food.
guns and horses I can give you and women.
but he's old.
Yeah.
But this,
Women in a cellar.
Fucking Harry Dean Stanton's always been old. They still beat his ass.
the first time he saw himself
But
in the
this
mirror,
guy's
he
easily
became
like
old.
twice as old as he is.
So,
I got you a bunch of animals to ride.
yeah. So now,
This one's called Leah Thomas.
yeah. So they find out. Okay, they're in occupied territory. A war's going on. You
Don't
know,
want to ride.
and this is actually where Robert finds out that his parents are dead,
Yeah.
and then he's like,
That's all.
"Hey, now that you guys have completed the tutorial level, you know what's going on. Here's your starting equipment. I'm going to give you a radio. I'm going to give you booze. I'm going to give you horses. I'm going to give you 2 ladies. I got in my basement, I got a Jennifer Grey and a Leah Thompson. You know, just the wife's like, no. He's like,
I wanted those.
Hey, going
One of
along-
whom is my granddaughter.
yeah, we're just going to
Yeah.
give these to like Patrick Swayze and 5 teenagers.
Yeah, no, it'll be
Yeah,
fun.
it's going to go.
One
it's
of
gonna
whom
go
is
great.
Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, one.
Yeah. And he did say that the Russians were going to try and make their way with his
They
granddaughter.
already had tried.
And
already
I'm
had,
thinking
Gonna
to
be
myself,
honest
like,
with you,
and
son.
you don't think they're not gonna?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, they're good, fine, upstanding
of
young
course.
men.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Plus, you know,
It'll be
once,
consensual when they
once
do
they're
terrible
damaged
things.
goods.
And
But yeah,
going
no,
along-
but he is
going
just
along
kind
with
of
the, going along with the video game motif. Though,
There's no resale value on
the girls, you notice, until they complete the next mission, are not unlocked as usable
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
assets
Yeah.
of their team.
Well, yeah, at this point, he's just like, all right, here's 2 girls. One of them's my granddaughter.
One pup.
One of them's been abused. Guess which one's
So-
which?
But the movie is not really all that clear that she
About
got
anything?
that she got abused until
No.
much later in the movie when
Way
the colonel
later.
shows up. So you're just like, is she like, did she hit her head? Like, does she have mental issues? Because she, like, the way she's behaving, you're like, this, what is her deal? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I don't know for people that have been abused, whatever kind of
Yeah.
things, but like, yeah, she just is like, going about like
If you've been
nothing's
abused,
doing.
right in.
But she's going about like, you know, just an everyday thing, and then just snaps at something and just.
It's called PTSD.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's no,
there was
there's
no
no,
explanation
you know,
for it.
At this
Just
point-
was
no like
weird.
precursor, no signs whatsoever. Like it's.
At this point, like I could see how somebody could be like not realizing that she has issues trusting men right now.
Yeah.
So when Charlie Sheen asks her to do the dishes and she's like, "Rawr!" and slaps the crap out of him, you know, like you're like, okay, that makes a little more sense. I mean, it is just outright, you know, she should be doing dishes because she's a lady is a terrible thing to think.
Yeah.
First off, but like the way she
I mean,
reacted
it also
to that,
could
you're-
just have been because she's just been sitting there not saying anything or
Yeah.
doing anything all day. It's like, all right,
But that's,
do something.
Please
that's part of what
contribute.
I'm also talking about is like she seems to be very talkative until she's not. Like she's real quiet for a long period
Well-
of time, and then she's just, you know.
That is actually a thing with people who have a lot of trauma. They call it going nonverbal.
But
They'll just shut down.
Yeah, but
And
isn't
it's
that like
very-
a
It's
regular?
like a trigger. It can be, yeah. It could be
So-
just some very super minor thing that'll set them off. It sucks.
Okay. Again, yeah, I'm no expert. I don't know. It seemed a little weird because like I know there, you know, people that are nonverbal, but generally they're nonverbal, not like it's just a normal day, and then it's not, and then it is.
I don't
and
know
then
if it's necessarily like a survival tactic, but it is definitely a reactionary thing. And
Hmm.
I know a couple of people who do that. And
Okay, whatever.
something sets them back and they're just off.
either way,
But again, yeah, maybe if they had explained it more or something.
Yeah.
But
While they were sitting there in the stone house where it's quiet with food and a fire, that would have been something that I would have
Yeah.
thought
Yeah, maybe,
that her
like-
grandfather would have been
yeah,
like, hey,
before I give you my granddaughter, you should probably know.
just know about this.
so
He did tell them that the Russians had.
There's a little difference
That
between
doesn't
saying the
explain that.
Russians tried to get their hands on her or whatever, or tried
Yeah.
to handle her. Whatever, I forgot how he said
And
it.
at
their
this
way
point,
with
it's not 100% clear. Like
Yeah.
they said, like they tried to on their way here.
Yeah, he could have also said she, you know, she's traumatized.
I do
Yeah.
Please look after her.
love how much time we're spending on this.
Yeah. Well, I tried to move it forward, but we keep going. On.
You spent longer talking about Wolverine's dick. I don't want to hear it.
That was
It's
funny.
Wolverine.
So,
That's
all right,
How many talking about these Wolverine sticks too?
now
Pigeon in a radiator.
we get to a kind of turning, you know, one of the key scenes in the movie here, because Danny and Daryl are just being useless walking around the mountain, and they see like a Russian jeeps coming up the mountain. So they're like, "Let's go tell everyone." But then the movie's like, "Did they do that? Did they not?" I don't
doesn't
know.
matter.
Suddenly, like Jennifer Grey and Leah Thompson are there hiding under rocks while the Russians are like looking at a sign, and you don't know where anybody is or what exactly, like what the layout is going on. So you're just like, I don't get why are they under there? Lots of questions.
So-
I think they
nothing
were all
explained.
out hunting.
Yeah, again, things that aren't fully clear, but
Yeah.
I believe the idea is he told them, and that's why they are all either they were up there, and that's why they all hid there, or they came up there to ambush them, and that's why they're
So-
hid there.
So-
That again, not clear.
Like
I know you didn't watch with subtitles, and you guys were watching it before I got there without subtitles, so you had already missed this scene. The Russian and the Cuban guy at this point are like tourists, effectively. They're like, look, we're at this
We
land.
got that much.
yeah, they're
Like, just
the
from-
guy's
they're
translating
clearly-
the sign. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but he's translating a sign of like, you know, Theodore Roosevelt quashed a resurrection from the Native Americans, murdered like 60,000 of them.
Don't fuck with Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah. Totally mistranslating the sign. He's like, yeah, no, I took English. I studied English. I can read.
So
okay.
either way, now they notice one of the guys looks over the edge, notices Jennifer Grey. She starts stumbling down, so they're like, "Let's chase them! It's some girls." And that Danny kid looks like
And
a
that's
bitch.
as far as they thought it out.
Yeah.
Like, it's a girl.
So
that happens multiple times.
yeah.
The Russians are like, oh,
Yeah, but this,
woman.
this is like the only time it happens just out in the middle of nowhere.
well,
like,
yeah.
also, sadly, what's going on in Ukraine right now.
Wow,
Yeah,
girl appeared.
unfortunately.
Yeah. So
it's super effective.
So Swayze, Sheen, and Robert show up here and just take control. Fucking put an arrow in one of these guys. Then I think Leia Thompson takes his assault rifle and just shoots the shit out of him. And then like Robert gets a guy with a shotgun, and you can see in his face he's like, "This is the best thing ever."
He's having a great day.
That was amazing.
It's even better when it's human.
He's having a great day killing Russians with his AK.
Keeps me warm.
Was that little wisp of steam his soul leaving his body?
Yeah. So that like the last guy gets shot to shit, but he goes like back to the Jeep to get on the radio, and he gets a firm staring down from Patrick Swayze. Patrick Swayze is like, "Do I want to kill an unarmed wounded man today? Yes, I do."
Tactical
Dice roll
fail though.
says-
He's following the guy. He's close enough to be able to shoot him because he's not far behind him
Yeah.
when he gets into the Jeep. Knows that he's calling in.
Yeah, lets him get the radio.
Lets him get the fucking radio. Like, you're already committed to this. Do it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a very big difference between just like wildly shooting and like walking up to somebody and putting one in their head.
At least run up there and take the radio away.
Yeah, well, yeah, you could have done that. You could have shot the radio. You could have done a
Multiple
lot of
things that
things.
he could have done.
Yeah.
Tactical fail.
Yeah, this is also it's not super clear how close he was to him or whatever.
Yeah, I assumed it was taking him a little while to climb up the
yeah,
slope
that's
and
kind of
then
how I took it. But
get caught
again, we can only assume because we don't really see it. So
Fair.
Now back at camp, Robert's like, "Problem with this shotgun? Too long. Cut the barrel off."
Incorrect.
And then he's like, "That felt good." He's like, "That was," one of the other kids was asking him about it, and he's like, "No, that's just the best."
yeah.
And
The only reason you would want to do that to a shotgun is if you're indoors.
Well, yeah,
it would
I
not
think-
help them at all in this scenario.
The kid says something about like you killed people, and he's like, well, they were killing us.
yeah, and then
He's justifying it.
yeah,
here. So-
Charlie Sheen. This is when he tells Leia Thompson to do the dishes, and she like freaks out on him. And we get here. So now the Cubans found the three tourist dead Russians here, and they go and they talk to Daryl's dad, the mayor, and they interrogate him for a little while, and he's like, "There's anything I could do to help, you let me know." And he's like, "We got ideas for how we're going to handle this situation." They make some Americans dig graves for the three dead Russians, and then as a reprisal, they kill about 20 of them, while playing the Russian national anthem. And both Aardvark's dad and Jeb and Matt's dad are there, and they start singing "Oh Beautiful," and they'd like roll up on them with the tanks and the infantry fighting vehicles and just gun them down with the machine guns on those. It's brutal. And
We thought they were going to try and like trick shot him with the actual tank's main gun somehow. Like rolling up on him with the tanks, and we're just like, which?
Well,
how is this going to go down?
Yeah.
Depending on how you position that with a canister round, that would. Yeah, if you went down the line. But you can't really show that even on a 1984 PG-13 movie. That'll get you the R. So
I don't
now,
think they thought of that.
back at camp, everyone's crying. And Patrick Swayze's like, no crying. Turn it to something else. You got to be a man.
Even the ladies.
Even the ladies.
turn it into that white hot rage.
And Robert's is like, yeah, no, I mean, this is I already been through this.
Done.
Done. Yeah, done.
Can we go kill them now?
I am crying from the tip of my wiener.
I need a change of underpants. So
I'm going to go take theirs.
No, let it get crusty. It just fuels my rage.
So I don't know what's happening. This next scene, like, there's a gas station, and they just pull the T-72 tank up to it. Like, I mean, maybe they have
fill up?
diesel fuel there.
Yeah, if it runs on
maybe,
diesel, then
but
they're gonna.
I guess.
I half expected them to get out like the windshield wiper thing from the
Yeah.
bucket and just be
I'll take all the diesel you have.
Yeah,
all
this
the
is full
diesel.
service, right?
and a Coke.
And so Jennifer Grey
Coca-Cola.
rides up on a bike, and with her picnic basket, and they're like, "I'll take this woman," and
They
she's
immediately
like,
roll for lechery.
"Yeah," she's like, "No," and they're like, "Fine, we'll take your picnic basket and just immediately throw it up here and into the tank." And she's like, "Joke's on you, it's full of bombs." So like the driver of the tank's it's got to be disgusting in there. So the three people outside of the tank come chasing after him into a little pop-up ambush here, where you got some Wolverines popping out of trap doors.
I mean, the level up that took place between like
Yeah.
more or less the previous half of the movie
Yep.
and now.
So
Like
this
they magically militia train.
This is the only one where you're like, this makes sense. Like, I understand this plan, but then from here on, you're like, how the fuck
no,
are they doing this?
It's not the plan that's the issue. My problem is the again, massive leveling up off screen, because
Yeah.
Yep.
the previous scene we're still on the the ladies
Yeah.
are there to wash the dishes or whatever. Suddenly everyone's a top military agent. They've dug holes, they've got traps, they're firing.
I believe at this point we've had like a year's time lapse.
No, we've
No,
had
it's just
we've
a
had
month.
2 months.
Yeah,
It's
it's-
2
It
months.
takes place over
Yeah.
like 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started in
if
September.
it
We're
was
in
a
October
year,
now.
I kind of believe that. But
Yeah.
even if it was a year, like, how would they have been able to train that long?
Well, not even just
with
how, but like
firearms and not
again,
get caught?
Yeah.
like the scene earlier, the ladies were saying we can do more than washing pots and
Yeah.
pans. Like,
Yeah, we
okay,
can
cool.
train you.
Apparently, they're massive,
Yeah.
marksmen with
Yes.
AK-47s. Like,
I thought more
What?
time had elapsed than
Yeah.
2 months. But
No, no.
Well,
they've been honing their skills, hunting and stalking.
Yeah.
and-
okay, fucking show it. Like, that's what I want to see.
so this
Give
How
us
scene,
a
long do you want
montage.
this movie to be?
yeah, this scene, like, assuming that they found a bomb and a detonator, right? And I believe us in this room can probably pull this ambush off. Everything else in this movie, I'm like, I don't know how the fuck you got that good that fast.
yeah.
Like, so at least in the newer Red Dawn,
I mean, here's the other thing, Joe.
is that,
Imagine all of us out in the woods, like, we'd be in shape.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. I think that would make a huge difference.
Plus,
Like,
It would make a difference. for
plus
sure.
remember, they're like 18.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but,
And football players.
but this is the thing. You were saying, how long do I want this to be? It's not about
And
necessarily.
paramilitary.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
not necessarily about
Eagle
being
Scouts.
longer, and this is why I get annoyed when people have that whole argument about Rey Skywalker and whatever nonsense. Like, I don't need to see, like, I don't need an extra hour of montage of her training, but in these fight scenes, maybe show them hitting smaller targets and moving up, so
Yeah.
you can see the
Yeah.
progression.
It
You can
just-
see
it
them
just
getting
jumps.
better.
Take out one battle scene and put a training montage.
Yeah, like
Okay.
maybe
That's
have
fine.
the shot of Leah Thompson with, like, just the shotgun, and she does a few shots, and then
maybe
the
maybe
next
Patrick
fight.
Swayze shows her how to shoot, and that's where they get
Well,
their actual, like,
I'll give you,
like,
They're redneck girls. They
Yeah.
know how to shoot.
in 1984 Midwest, they just know how to shoot. Like, I'll
Well,
give them
fair.
that.
That's fair.
No, that's fine, and it's not just her. It's the Danny and Aardvark and Ratatat or whatever the fuck, I don't even know.
Rat-a-tat.
But like, show them, like, hey, I've got a gun, I'm firing, it hits some of the time. The next battle, it's hitting most of the time. The third battle, I'm doing really well. Like
A
that,
progress.
Yeah.
you get to see it rather
Not
than
a
just,
sudden jump.
hey, you just had me washing pots and pans. Suddenly, I have a machine or a chain gun or whatever that mounted thing she gets, and she's just fucking destroying everything. And it's like,
But with
talked
that,
about
you
one
of
don't,
those.
yeah, you don't really need accuracy.
I guess, but like,
So, it cuts from this scene where you're like, I can believe that ambush, to immediately as another wave of reprisals on the side of a road. They have a whole nother group of townsfolk they're going to shoot. And the Wolverines just come out of nowhere and, like, gun everybody down. Fucking one of them does, like, a Joe Montana hand grenade throw into the open hatch of the vehicle the Russians have, blows that up. And you're like,
see, he was practicing off screen with his basketball skills.
yeah. So now you're like,
He's a football player. He knows how to throw stuff.
Not
you
like
know,
that.
I'll give you that, actually. I'll give you
into
that.
a hole. They go for
Yeah.
distance, not necessarily for
No,
like,
you
like
need
hitting
to
the
be,
kids.
you need to
You
be
need
super
accuracy,
accurate.
too.
You know,
yeah.
football
Really?
players like
Oh,
practice,
yeah.
Yeah.
Have you never seen like when they have the tire hanging up and they try and throw it through
Yeah.
there and stuff?
Yeah, but again, that's vertical. Trying to get it in like this,
It's still
a
about
different
accuracy.
But
yeah.
you
They
need
play baseball.
They
too.
use the force. Okay, just
force and plot armor.
so
You mostly plot armor.
yeah.
If they're proper jocks, they played the full gamut. Like
So they saved the townsfolk.
gotta stay busy in the off season.
And now, like in this scene, also, I believe they have an RPG and like some machine guns.
Yeah, they just get those real quick.
They know how to use those. And
I
shit.
mean, if you are actually able to take out units, that I can easily see. Like if the people
Yeah.
holding the weapons are dead,
No.
you pick up the weapons and you're good.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there is also the difference of obtaining the weapons. I can see how that happened.
Yeah.
Using them, however,
Yeah.
because I believe in the course of us doing this podcast, Joe has pointed out numerous times that people making the movies often don't hold the bazooka the right way. So these kids doing it just on a lark, I mean, that's kind
The
of...
one thing
Yeah,
I'll give them
that's fair.
is a Soviet like RPG 7 or RPG 9. Like people learn how to use. They'll fire like one shot and then they can use it well enough to shoot at a tank.
I
Like
would love to see the.
they are
montage of
fairly
them learning that.
idiot-proof.
They just
Also-
fire it at a deer and it
Yeah.
blows
Again.
up into hamburger.
Also, remember that Robert has the spirit of death in his eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
And again, we're talking about a bunch of redneck kids that have probably been handling firearms since they were
Well,
yay
so-
tall.
No.
Rob-
There's a difference
or not
between
Rob,
firearms, AK-47s, and a RPG.
and an RPG. Yeah.
That's not the same deal.
That's the distinction that he's drawing. Is
Point and
there's-
shoot, I get, but like there is a difference.
If it has a sight on it, the principle's the same.
if it's on your shoulder and it's got that much more of a kickback and it's actually like a rocket, there's a lot of things that are different there. I'll give you like at least shoot it once, but it's still a different animal.
Those are surprisingly easy to use though. It's not like the American equivalent like the Stinger or the TOW, which you need extensive training on. Like the RPG,
Javelins.
yeah. Well, javelin was a long way from being invented, but what should we call it? The like the RPG was distributed to like all kinds of militias who figured it out fairly easily.
Okay.
So I'll give him that.
Maybe I'm
by
wrong.
your reasoning, I saw him drive a truck earlier. Why doesn't he just get in the tank and drive that?
Because that's very different.
Well, yeah, but my point is, like, yes,
yeah,
there is,
anyone.
you know,
yeah.
there's similarities, but you know, there's differences too.
Yeah.
There are parallels, but it is a matter of degrees of how many things that are comparable.
So the other thing that bothers me in this movie, not so much in this scene, but going back to the belt-fed machine guns, like especially the large caliber ones you see them using.
Where are they getting all that ammo?
Well, no, like you see when they're firing like what you would call a medium machine gun, like one that's on a tripod, has a belt-fed ammo. You usually see two people firing that. One guy's holding the ammo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy that's holding the ammo, the other thing he's doing is he's telling the person who's shooting how he missed and how he needs to adjust. Because the person that's shooting, especially at night, which they fire these at night a lot of times, like you can't see anything. The muzzle flash is just fire in front of your face. You can see where you pointed it, but you don't know how your shots missed. So you need that other person, and you don't see that in this movie. But that's a common mistake that like they make in all kinds of movies.
I also will give them that this is probably a lot more of just spray and pray. Like if you're firing that many bullets, you're not worried about accuracy. You're just, you know,
But
this
so, like,
area.
That gun though, like at any range, like a little bit of movement and you're way off. And you're you
Is
need
that just because of the recoil and you're just carrying the gun into
and the length of the barrel, like and all that. So like unless you're right up on them.
And I imagine the person who's feeding the magazine, if you're not doing that, might get tangled. I don't know too much about what that looks like.
I'm sure that's an element, but that's, you know.
I think that's
Jams,
that's not
tangles.
as important of a job as them spotting. But anyway, we got a lot more to go through. So now they spray paint Wolverines on the vehicles. The Cubans are pissed. and they're having some kind of conversation that I didn't,
Get
I
to
didn't have
these-
subtitles.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming it's like the good guy, bad guy was like, hey, maybe we shouldn't just murder all the townsfolk. And General Bad Guy was like, let's murder more townsfolk.
So if I'm correct, it was the Cuban and the Russian.
Yep.
I believe
And
so,
it's basically like the Cuban was like, I used to be like a revolutionary. I understand what these kids are.
He's previously always
Yep.
fought with
Yeah.
the insurgent.
Right.
And I believe he
yeah.
said every time you kill them, you make them stronger, kind
Right.
of thing.
And the Russian guy was just like, they're just children, and they're just animals. They're Wolverines. Wolverines are just animals.
They're
We need to
beasts,
treat they're beasts. We'll kill them like beasts.
Meanwhile, Jennifer Grey comes walking out of the Friendship Center, immediately gets sexually assaulted outside the Friendship Center.
His gift.
But in fairness, she had no intention of friendship either because she just put another fucking bomb in there.
She gave them something.
Look forward
was
to Disney
explosive.
films this
It's a
summer.
friendship gift.
Russia needs moms.
So yeah, big old terrorist bombing there. Yeah, you see the guy that was like, "Oh, bring your another girlfriend. I want to mess with both of you." He's suddenly like, "My best friend is dead."
I have hemi penis.
So
That's two.
now it's November. 2 months have gone by.
Dun, dun.
And presumably there's an air battle. We hear sounds and we see smoke trails in the sky, which I guess from the ground, that's really all you'd see. But you see Leia Thompson's looking up at that and finds a redneck's parachuted down from the skies. Yeah, she comes up to him, steps on his hand, asks him what the capital of Texas is. He says Austin. She's like, wrong. I forgot what she said it was. Houston.
Houston,
Yeah. And he's like, just leave me alone. Look, I got an
Watch
American
too many
flag on me.
movies.
Think a Russian could have this accent.
I'm cold.
I'm cold. Leave me alone.
Yeah. So take him back to camp. And he gives you he drops a lot of bullshit on you real fast. Patrick
Yeah.
Swayze comes over and is like, what's actually going on? And
I will say that I thought that it was. I did appreciate the exchange between those two characters at this specific moment because he's like, "What got you shot down?" He's like, "It was 5 against 1. I got 4 of them." I was like, hey, I appreciated the way that went. That was cool.
interestingly enough, the plane he was flying, F-15 Eagle, still to this day has a pristine, it's like 100-something to 0 kill ratio. It's never been shot down in combat,
Except for this guy.
except for this guy.
Yeah, except for this guy. Is Starscream an F-15 or an
Yeah,
F-14?
He's an F-15.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
he's like, all right.
It's important information, Tony.
I was just thinking, I trust him. I know about Starscream, but that's one where Joe would have the better answer.
So apparently the Russians have nuked Washington, D.C., Omaha, Kansas City, and some other place. Like, those are
Magically.
gone.
Yeah, totally.
He said their missiles are more accurate than we thought.
That's not how a nuclear war works.
Yeah. Again, also just...
No, he said... Wait, no. He said specifically there were no nukes.
Nope.
No, he
No
says
nukes anymore.
Yeah,
Anymore.
they nuked those areas and then invaded.
Yeah.
And then now that they're in our land, there's no nukes because they're there and we're here. And if we nuke each other,
we're not
just
gonna
gonna
nuke our own
we're all
land.
getting fucked.
He
I
al-
missed that. That's
He also
dumb.
said that the Cubans somehow sabotaged Strategic Air Command.
Yeah,
Sure.
That's
Which-
not a thing.
Let's assume that
with
they did
cigars.
that. Yeah.
That's the part about the illegal immigrants that they sent them up from Cuba through Central America and
Got a
Mexico,
shit ton
Right
of
into
illegals
NORAD.
pouring through the border,
right? Pouring through the border.
Right into Cheyenne Mountain.
and who the hell knows what's going on?
Janitors.
Yeah.
They just took over the place.
And yeah, no, exactly. They got
There you go.
positions as janitors
They get in.
in all of the communication.
Get
Yeah,
in?
all
They're
the
not-
Communication
top
sites.
secret sites.
So-
Yep.
Again, this is prior to 9/11, so maybe a bit more plausible.
Well,
No.
all right, let's assume
Thousands of sleeper agent illegal
Absolutely.
immigrants.
Yes.
let's assume somehow they got a nuke off in Washington D.C. to wipe out like the president and most of the important government figures, the people that would initiate a counterstrike.
Would they actually? Because it would be in. I thought that would all be centralized with like NORAD and all.
Well,
the
but the
other
person
things
who has
we
to
don't
give
know
that
about.
order to fire.
Right, but
is
chain
dead.
of command, like
Yeah, but
I'm
there
sure
should-
there's like dead man switch
Yeah,
kind
there
of
would
things
be.
going on.
They would just go down the list like
Yeah.
who's still alive.
And very quickly.
Yeah.
The first dog.
The mayor of Wyoming. It's up to you, buddy.
So
Whatever.
All right, let's assume Strategic Air Command fails. The bombers, they're sabotaged somehow. There's still the nukes in the silos. You sabotage those somehow.
Somehow.
There's still the nukes in the submarines that there's no way an illegal immigrant has somehow illicitly snuck on those.
And
Like-
those are in the ocean.
Yeah.
Oh, they could
Which is
swim
the
like
thing you
nothing.
have to fly over to get here.
Yeah. And again, this movie completely ignores the U.S. Navy,
Yeah.
which at this point was by far the largest navy in the world. Like, there would be a reprisal. There's no way you could just have, like, we just did a few nukes, and then everyone decided no more nukes.
I mean,
Except the Navy.
I'm just thinking out loud
The Navy
here.
would be like, yeah, more nukes.
This is supposed to be in the Midwest, and they just kind of casually strolled through Texas.
Yeah.
But like, what are you
No,
even
they
doing?
didn't.
Because the majority of the population of the United States is not in the Midwest. It's like all in the border, like all in the outlying.
And the majority
East
of the
Coast,
people
West
in the
Coast.
south of the U.S. are very angry, gun-loving.
Yeah, they're just gonna shoot your ass out of the
Yeah,
sky. Like,
they
they're
will
not.
shoot you if you're a Yankee.
Well, that's why.
Yeah.
That's why their progress
won't
got
hire
halted
you.
at the Mississippi.
Yeah, John, there's your microphone. How about put that in your mouth, you
And
bitch?
suck it.
Fuck
Oh,
you.
shit.
So,
So
Yeah.
that's why they got halted at the Mississippi.
also,
Well, that's going east.
yeah, at the same time, though, apparently they stormed across the Aleutian Strait and went into Alaska, and then started coming down there through Canada. And they have like the west coast of Canada and Alaska. And it's like, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Like, granted, it's not a lot of water you have to cross, but there's a lot of defenses America put up to stop that. Also, you're in Alaska. Like, just have fun up there.
Yeah. Palin's going to shoot you from her house.
Yeah. So needless to say, like, I saw on
got
Wikipedia a map of like the scenario they presented, what the lines look like.
Oh, did somebody actually theory craft this?
Yeah.
Oh, I got
Yeah.
to look at
So it went.
Was it in crayon?
that. Might as well have been.
So yeah,
they were
they're-
at the movie, yeah.
yeah, in the Midwest, they're stopped where the people coming up from Mexico and the people coming down from Alaska kind of got halted, like at the Rockies and the Mississippi, and then they're kind of connected in the middle. So America's like divided in half. And you're just like, okay, somehow, sure.
Alternate dimension, sure.
Yeah. Then it gets weirder because they're like, all right, Europe decided not to fight. They're like, twice in 1 century was enough. And like,
But England's going
yeah.
to fight.
So assuming NATO's dissolved, that kind of makes sense. England,
How?
like, if assuming NATO dissolved and there's no obligation to fight,
Even still,
But
the
the problem
French
is-
would be
yeah.
still very mad.
the problem is like the biggest military presence in Europe is the United States. There's
Yes.
a ton of troops there.
Exactly,
So
that too.
that's the thing I'm like, I don't get, like, what are those doing? Like,
Just they're on holiday.
yeah. And then England's still fighting, which, okay, that makes kind of sense because they're separated from Europe. They're like, you still got to get in boats and come over here. So that part makes sense. But apparently their military's been neutralized. And then China, of all people, is on our side. And
Yeah,
like
that-
I'm.
You lost
Yeah.
me there.
Yeah. What?
Also, apparently, they nuked China because the implication
Oh, yeah.
was that
They've reduced China by half.
Yeah. They said there's only about 600 million now. And there was over 1 billion. So at least 400 million Chinese are dead.
Yeah, that don't make a damn lick of
For
sense.
reasons.
Yeah,
reasons,
I know,
yeah.
they're like,
Because they did something.
Again, knowing what we know now, good luck in China, Russia. That's
Well, like
that's just not going to go well.
They would have allied immediately together anyway. Like, that's not even
Yeah.
That doesn't even slightly make sense.
I don't know. Didn't the
China was never a democracy.
No, but they
didn't the
they-
Chinese and the Russians
Yeah.
hate each other? Like,
They had a rivalry and they had border skirmishes, which I think were still happening around this time.
well, plus, I mean, we owe China so much money. Maybe they
But-
were like, okay, we'll pitch in for that reason.
So that's
We're
part of the
invested.
bullshit in the new Red Dawn, where I guess we defaulted on a lot of the money we owed China and they
What?
took a lot of
No.
our stuff.
That could never happen.
But
They have done that in smaller countries where they've paid the entire bill for like a naval port, and the country couldn't pay the bill.
Yeah.
So not only did China say this is ours, but it's also now our territory. It's annexed.
Yep.
This is Chinese territory now.
Sure.
But like China,
Didn't you all know after the podcast ends, we all have to make Nikes?
so Russia and you know the Warsaw Pact and the United States are fighting it out. China would just be like, you guys go at it. We'll just we'll be over here. You do you.
Want some ammunition? We'll just
again,
make it and
Yeah,
sell
we'll
it
have
to
a
you.
nice conversation with the winner.
Yeah.
Again, I can only imagine this is all, the whatever lead up was for all this is what was covered in between the opening crawl and the opening invasion that we just didn't see. Like whatever happened in NATO,
It's the
Maybe it
fever,
was part
it's
of
the
it.
fever
I
dream
don't know.
of a white nationalist conspiracy
Yeah.
theorist.
So
maybe
now
something explains it.
the colonel, he's like, all right, I dropped a bunch of exposition on you. I got to take a nap.
Oh, also, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
Is it not slightly uncommon to be sending colonels out as fighter pilots?
No, you do that. Yeah.
You do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I thought that was like you're not on the front lines.
In the army,
right?
yes.
Okay.
So the Air Force
It's only
is
a
weird.
lieutenant colonel.
Yeah, the Air Force is backwards, where they're enlisted stay at home and the officers go and fight because they're not
Okay.
they're not going to give like an enlisted guy who's here for a few years to like go fly this multi-million-dollar aircraft.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
That's why they're all captains.
Yeah, so you're at least a captain if you're in a fighter plane.
Okay. Okay.
So I think at general you're out of planes, but colonel I think would be you would be like in charge of like a wing of aircraft.
Didn't
or
you see
something.
Top Gun
Or Captain Marvel.
or Top Gun Maverick?
Yeah, but that's Captain Marvel.
So
You
Anyway.
okay, Rob?
Yeah,
He just threw up in his mouth a little.
I did. Yeah.
he mysteriously when he wakes up, he's got some flowers on his chest. And he's like, "Oh damn!"
It's Nightshade. It's
Yeah,
fine.
which
Is he like that though, or is he
he's-
like?
He's like, normally I'd have to find out her age, but since we're in a war,
Yeah, it's basically the
We're not on
apocalypse.
American territory, so the laws don't apply, right?
yeah, well, from what I heard, it's that was the original thing. But
oh, John has the map I was talking about.
okay, well,
Okay.
that's roughly what I pictured.
Oh, that is not how that would have happened.
Well, yeah, but that's everything. in this
Oh
movie.
boy.
Oh yeah,
So they're like, Colonel, wake up! We gotta go murder some Russians. And this movie and its transitions, I remember just
Bird gets the
loving
worm.
this as a kid because, like, oh, look at all the guns they're shooting and explosions and stuff. But you're just like, he looks at the flowers, he smiles, and then it's just people getting gunned down on a road. And then, like, the Russians run for cover because they're getting shot. But Patrick Swayze's like, check this out. We put a bunch of Claymore mines over there. Those guys are all dead, and they RPG the vehicles. And a colonel's like, okay, you guys know how to fight. Time to tell you about how much it sucks in Denver. There's, mountains of bodies, and they're eating each other and eating rats, and mile-high stadiums under siege.
by the way, that's
And
where
that's the
my
map.
family is.
Yeah.
Like they could just go to the left or right.
Well, there's the Rockies that they have to cross through, or the Mississippi.
Yeah.
Both are pretty formidable. Oh, and there's the nuke explosions. It looks like they nuked New York City,
But it
too.
also means that
What, can I see that
that
again?
also means that the bad guys had to get over the Rockies. Yeah.
Well, no, they went up from...
Okay,
Texas.
so they're basically
From
like
Cuba.
sandwiching the
Yeah.
Rockies.
Yeah.
They-
And so those areas there, you don't want to go.
Yeah.
It's just it's just Fallout.
Nuclear wasteland.
Just Nuka-Cola.
You looking at my eye?
So,
So they nuked New York.
and Washington, D.C.
So
York,
what do they
Washington.
even like? What are they even looking for? Because all they got now is just like
Little
empty
house on the
grassland.
prairie.
Yeah,
That's all they got. There you go. Have it. Enjoy.
He's mentioning
Hope
that...
it's fun.
Well,
I mean, it is a lot of food production there.
well, that's
until,
not...
until you nuked it.
They do...
Until the
territory,
factories
and
catch fire.
you eliminate a major threat if you want to go
So-
attack anyone else.
Sure.
Few things they mentioned. They mentioned at the beginning that that Russia had a terrible grain harvest, which happens in Russia. That's why when it was the Soviet Union, they relied a lot on Ukraine and Belarus for their food. And so they want to take the American, wheat and corn fields in the Midwest. But
My new kingdom.
yeah, but the colonel also
One area
says
they did.
like they want to take this country intact, but you nuked the biggest city.
Yeah.
Good,
You know,
good luck.
sure.
I
Okay.
think you already lost.
Also,
that
you nuked
objective.
the UN.
Just saved California.
That's a tough one to explain to the world.
Also, like, given how close they are, Florida is still under U.S. control. Like, there's already a crap ton of Cubans that have migrated to
Yeah, but-
Florida.
They're like, you could keep Florida. That's
I
where we're
guess.
at.
Well, also,
I
the
guess.
Cubans in Florida will be like, yeah, I'm not going back to that nonsense.
That's-
I mean, yes,
that's
there
also-
is
your ass.
that.
And that's also happened in the last 20-ish years.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So
Since the communist regime in Cuba kind of.
Yep. Well, I mean, when the USSR collapsed, I think that's when that all started going south.
So back at camp after this, after they're talking about all the terrible things happening in Denver, the colonel says to Robert, he's like, "Boy, all that hate's gonna burn you up," and he's like, "Keeps me warm."
me warm.
And you're like, "Yeah, Robert's a scary person." And
You
then
know what else keeps him warm at night? Corpse of that Russian soldier that he gutted so he could turn him into a flesh sleeping bag.
Yeah,
he,
the time.
he drank the first Russian he killed. I got a feeling he drank his
Cut
blood.
his heart out and drank.
He's like
Oh,
vodka.
for sure. I
Just ate it
am
raw.
almost a little surprised that by the end of this, he's not like wearing bone armor.
Yeah. So
That
Oh,
boy's
which-
gone
What the
feral.
hell?
now we
Just speaking of the like to add to the fun confusion of all this nonsense, we are to assume that in collecting weapons and things from the dead, they are also collecting fatigues and
Oh yeah.
yeah.
whatnot. And so at a certain point, everybody's just kind of wearing the same thing, and I have no idea what's happening.
Well,
So-
they're becoming a professional paramilitary force.
A few things that
That's
make
great
sense
for them as a team.
Yeah.
As a viewer, not so good.
Well, I mean, they've been trained by the wood gnomes
So
in the woods of the Rockies.
it makes more sense knowing what we know about Russia, like the Russian army now, because all the Russians and Ukraine have left so much stuff behind. They've sold some of it to,
Oh, yeah.
to
Yeah.
whoever. Like it's not hard to get any kind of Russian kit. So
Oh yeah, no, I totally. Again, it makes sense
Yeah.
if this were a
But
real
you'd like to
thing.
see it.
Yeah, well, not even just like to see it, but like towards the end of the movie, I want someone.
the protagonist from the
Yeah, I want them to
village
like
gets hard.
like somebody get a splash of color so I can
Yeah.
be like, that's Patrick Swayze
have some
instead of
headbands or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
guy in all white number 15
Yeah.
or whatever. Like,
So now we get a scene which, again, like not fully understanding the extent of what happened to Leia Thompson at this point. You're just like, is she okay? Because like the colonel's got his flowers and he's looking at a rock, and then Leia Thompson runs at him with more flowers, and he turns and looks at her, and she runs away, and I'm just like, what's happening here? And then
I mean, the way that she acted in that
Yeah.
was like the way that I would expect a 5-year-old
Yeah,
with
exactly.
a first crush on a person
It is
to
a
act like.
child flirting.
yeah, so
Yeah, but she doesn't look like she's 5.
so
It is a mentally damaged person.
that,
Well,
and
yes.
that's the
Yes.
conclusion that
Right.
like was starting to enter my mind. But then he goes around the other side of the rock, and Danny, God knows what he's doing back there. But he's like,
He's
yeah,
watching.
some really bad
Just
stuff
checking it.
happened to her.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay.
Thanks for letting us know.
I'm still probably
He's like, I could work with that.
again, they shot it where I don't know how far it got, but they were a thing.
All
It's
right.
like, I
Until
get it.
audiences were like, there is a big age difference, let
Makes
alone
them-
Oh,
trauma.
they actually recorded scenes. Oh,
Makes them weirdly eager.
Which would make what some
Eager
stuff that
for
happens
beaver.
later make more sense if we saw those
Yes.
scenes.
Yeah, you
So-
remember that one chapter from It? Anyway,
So now we get the plan for storming the drive-in concentration camp. And like they're looking at a grill, and there's like they're like a grill and like some toy cars and stuff, and he's like, that's the Russian bunker, that's a Cuban bunker, that's a machine gun nest, we do this, that, flank and fire. defilade, enfilade.
grazing fire, and flank
Yeah.
to the
And you're like, can I just see like what you pointed at again?
No.
And they're like, what's
It's pretty simple.
Yeah, they're like, what's grazing fire? What's what's defilade? And
Does that mean take a poop?
Prophylactic.
So
Yeah.
it's
It's a suppose.
that's one of those moments where it kind of comes back to like the beginning, where it's just like, have you been living under a rock? Like, work out what you think those words mean. It's not as hard as you're making it sound.
yeah, I'll give you.
True, but these are also
There's
remember.
to highlight that they're not actually a military
Yeah.
unit.
Even though
Sure,
they've been
but,
acting
like,
like one
yeah.
for a while, but
This is the Midwest, right? Cattle have flanks. They're
Well,
on the side.
So,
Like-
but this is also an opportunity. Just spend 5 more seconds, and Patrick
Yeah.
Swayze's like, when he says defilade, he means their hiding hole.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, that's what we call it. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
When he says grazing fire, he means when we make them keep their heads down or whatever, their terms they have for it. Kind of like that scene where they're learning to dance in the Full Monty, and they equate it like they can't dance, and then they equate it to soccer formations. They're like, oh, this makes total sense now.
it's like trying to explain anything in D&D to anyone that does not play
Yeah.
D&D.
But I mean, that's my point. It's not like they're using words like thaumaturgy. They're using words like grazing.
Yeah.
It's normal English. It's not
Yeah,
hard
but
to
to
understand.
somebody
But
who
not
grew
in
up on a
this
farm in the
context.
Midwest,
Yeah.
grazing is cows eating grass.
Yeah. They don't
I
go
think-
under the ground.
I think one of them
Yeah, but what does
says,
that mean? Like, so obviously what he means is I should make them eat grass.
yeah, and I think
Sure.
one of them,
I mean, yeah.
one of
Get
them
their
says,
heads down.
like-
That's done.
one of them says, why graze them? Why don't we just shoot them?
That'd be Robert.
I mean, that'd be fine. Well, yeah. He's just like, I'll go and do
So
it.
this movie's transitions because he's like, I need a drink. So you're like,
Yep.
all right, they're going to do a little like train montage or
No.
something. Like you see 2 men on top of a cherry picker lift for like a second and a half and they fucking explode. You're just like, what the hell was that? And
Yeah, I think they say something about like you need to keep within the line or half of that sentence
Yeah.
before they just explode, and
Well,
then there's
he-
a truck coming through a fence.
yeah.
He's cutting what I'm presuming is like a telecommunications line. He's up on a pole, and then he just gets shot.
Oh, that's somebody else.
He's just,
Oh, it's
he's just
a
like a
different
Russian
guy.
guard. Yeah, that was in a different montage.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, so
Get my montages montaged.
they just gunned down a bunch of Russians in
Mm-hmm.
this concentration camp. They drive up with a truck and start handing out guns to all the townsfolk.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, if you're gonna die standing up.
Right on.
Which doesn't appear to do anything because we don't see anything more from them.
Nope.
Well, they surrender again after this is done.
The what you call it? Like you see either Leia Thompson or Jennifer Grace firing that heavy machine gun like at night, where like what I'm talking about with the muzzle flash, like just everything in front of her is fire. She wouldn't be able to see anything going on. But
Maybe that's why she likes the pilot.
yeah. So speaking of the pilot, he runs up to a plane. This is both a concentration camp and an air base.
Sure. You know, multi-purpose.
Yeah, so he runs up to the plane and shows the pilot. He's like, see this grenade? I'm putting it in your plane. And this pilot actor, I don't know if it was just me, but he looked like he couldn't give one fuck. He
Yeah,
just
he was-
all right,
It looked
well.
like he
I don't
was
know.
on the phone.
He was
just had
so
no idea
nonplussed
what was
about
going
that.
on.
I think he was like, well, shit, what am I going to do?
I think you're right, but yeah, no, the look on his face was like, I'm a posh young white woman, and this is a guy who's trying to wash my windows to make money.
Like, just don't look at him, he'll go away.
Keep your eyes forward. Maybe they'll leave you alone.
He will go away.
Like,
Wait for
what's
the
that?
light to turn green.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, he was concentrating on trying to make the plane go.
yeah. Oh, what? He's tapping on the window. Just turn the music up.
You're well past that point. At that point, it's either like, maybe you can eject.
This is what
Or
I
you
get for
just
shopping
die.
at Walmart.
Yeah. So this whole concentration camp fucking explodes. They drive away. The colonel's like, Das Vidanya! And you're like, okay, can we have maybe tried a little harder on that? Like, I have no idea what just happened there. But
You got people free.
yeah, so now the
you never see them again, but you know they're free in that scene.
They didn't die in that camp.
Yes.
Russian general bad guy is like, all right,
General bad guy.
let's just kill more townsfolk. Because, that hasn't worked yet, but
Yeah.
let's keep doing that.
Yeah. Maybe this is the 18th time's the charm.
So then they cut to, they're just playing football out in the field now.
Yeah, because that's a
Wolverines.
good tactical idea. Just out in the open air.
Colonel, like, he's feeling spry. He went out and just murdered a bunch of people. He's feeling 20 years younger.
Yeah.
He catches the
He's
football.
banging a 17-year-old.
Just gets his ass wrecked by one of the kids. And he's like, I'm done. I'm down here now for the rest of the afternoon. Like, my participation's
Why don't you
done.
come down here with me?
Yeah. Pulls Leia Thompson down there. They kind of flirt a bit. She wants to know about his wife. He's like, yo.
You're killing my boner.
She's not here. We can't have a threesome. Man.
Is this doing it for you?
So he does ask her, like, you really want to know about this stuff? Like, shit, you're kinky.
So they go back to the
Reminds me of
random
you.
log cabin man where they got the women before. They're like, maybe he's got more girls. They go back there, and now everyone's back there, and
He's
he's
like
like,
their safe house.
yeah, Jeb, you're super popular now. They're even saying they might drop special forces to help you. And, Jeb's
Like,
like,
Chuck Norris.
well,
in
In the
spring.
spring.
in the spring,
in
yeah.
the spring.
He's like, that's a long time away. So it cuts to January. And now you have to guess here, but I'm assuming their plan is to cross through the battle lines to get to like freedom on the other side.
It
yeah.
seems to be
That's
it.
the
Again,
empire.
But, yeah,
not well explained.
That wasn't discussed.
No.
No.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So we come across just a random battlefield. There were just napalm and trees, and there's some tanks shooting at each other. And
They're not even full trees. They're like low-growing shrubs. It's
Yeah.
just like, what?
light that shit on fire.
I mean, you could carpet bomb it, sure, but like, you should just be able to do strafing runs.
I don't know.
If there's people down there,
Yeah.
they're not going to hide.
So they're just hanging out watching shit explode. And, random T-72 drives up.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, that's not
They're
good.
lost. They're asking for directions.
Hide behind this rock. And another T-72 shows up.
Jesus Christ, I want to hurt myself.
Yeah. And then, do you recall, you see that they're having a long-range tank battle with an Abrams tank, like, way to hell over on the other side of the valley. Which, again, at this point, we didn't really know how the Abrams and the T-72 would stack up against each other, but this would be a fucking slaughter. Like, the Wolverines might die because the Abrams would just blow those two tanks apart real quick.
That was one of my biggest problems right off the bat. Is they're like, keep your head down. We don't want to be noticed. Like,
Yeah.
he's got bigger problems, and you are in the line
Yeah,
of fire. Fucking move.
You're right in front of
You're
his
20,
front armor.
20 feet away from a fucking tank.
I mean,
Yeah.
yes or no about the bigger problems. Like, if you know that there are people on foot that can climb up onto your tank, open the hatch, and drop a grenade in.
No, but I'm saying, I don't know. Joe could probably attest to better than this. I don't know the full range of visibility on the tank, but I think if you keep low and kind of scoot around, he's focused on that other tank.
So-
you're probably going to be okay.
We don't know what the kids know, but like T-72 has horrible situational awareness. You could sneak all around that thing and just
That's
run away.
kind of what I thought. Or at the very least, it's probably not very quick.
Yeah,
And
I
so like the guy's not going to pop out to
No.
use the machine gun on you
Yeah.
or
The
The
whatever.
other
'cause-
guy was already riding
the
on
tank.
top, but
Well, yeah, another tank. but
And the
I mean,
tank commander, he's probably looking at the tank they're trying to blow up.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, they are.
It was another tactical fail. to
I
just
am-
sit there.
I am surprised that the U.S. tank didn't try and take them out and kill every one of those kids. Just because they're right in front of this.
It might not have even been able to see them
Yeah.
from there. It was implied that it was having difficulty even finding where the tank was, but
yeah.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like just trying to hit the tank, it could have. It
would've-
probably
oh,
would have
yeah.
accidentally just blown them to
totally
smithereens.
could have, yeah.
So
And actually, Joe, with the amount of rubble that was between the kids and the tank, if that tank had exploded, would it have blown that rubble out, or like would that have actually been an effective barrier?
it like depends on how the tank got taken out. Like if it's ammo blew up, then yeah, everyone around.
Either
it's
way,
dead.
Okay.
I think as soon as that tank started firing, all
Yeah.
of their eardrums would have
Yeah,
exploded.
for sure.
Yeah.
So Danny loses his shit because of the cannon firing near him, which, like, they're all deaf after
Yeah.
that thing fires. So I can't I can't fault Danny for freaking out, but he keeps trying to run away. The colonel's like, well, it's time to die. I'm just
Pretty
gonna
much.
do a one-man assault on this tank. The other tank's like, hey, I see you over there. And one nice thing about being inside a tank is your other tank buddies can just shoot machine gun fire all over you, and it don't matter. So they're just like firing bullets willy-nilly at that. Suddenly, of course, the RPG's jammed, so they can't use that against the tank.
With this scene, I was kind of curious if they're already under artillery fire from the opposing tank.
Yeah.
Why would that other tank have somebody up there exposed to that?
Yeah, why
manning
he
the
wouldn't?
machine gun.
That guy wouldn't be up there.
I wouldn't
anyway.
have thought so. Yeah. So that just seemed out of place.
Yeah.
So anyway,
So they RPG one of the tanks. The colonel gets all shot up, and I believe Arturo.
before that, Arturo gets shot.
He gets shot too, trying to go up there with the colonel. Oh, that's right. The one of the guys opens up the back hatch of the tank and lobs a hand grenade out, and that gets the colonel.
Yeah.
So the colonel, with his dying action, takes out his smoke grenade and sets that off on the top of the tank, presumably to make it easier for the Abrams to shoot him.
Yeah.
And the rest of
Straight
them
army,
run away.
Pukes. For once.
So again, it's 1984. We didn't know what the Abrams was capable of, but we saw in Iraq, the Abrams would have never stopped moving and would have just driven towards them, and probably in 2 shots would have blown the 2 tanks up. But they move on. Now we're starting to lose Wolverines.
Yep.
And where are we now? So, back at camp, Leia Thompson's like, I'll never love anyone again. And Robert's just like, good.
Well, no, he said something. He's
No,
like,
I think one of the other ones said something about
was
if
somebody
you
else.
don't love, why?
if
be
you
a
didn't
thing?
love
I
anybody,
don't-
you wouldn't be here.
I think
Yeah.
it was Maddie,
So,
aka Tiger Boy.
yeah, so Jeb has a good cry, looking at a picture of him and his brother. And Matt comes up to him and is like, yeah, so morale's really low, except for Robert. He always wants to kill stuff. But everyone else is thinking about giving up. And we don't know, why they turn around? Why not try to cross the back? I guess they're like, well, that's too intense. We're not going to cross there, so we have to go back. But that's never said.
No, explanations are very, very, very,
Yeah.
very, very short in this movie.
Because they start heading back to Calumet. And back in Calumet, there's some kind of parade, and
Bullshit.
this new Russian bad guy's brought in, the Spetsnaz dude. And again, there was a whole speech that I don't understand, but
he basically comes in and is like, you've been handling this all wrong. Every time you kill villagers to try and anger them, you are just pissing them off and causing them to kill more. So to outsmart a fox, we need to be smarter than the fox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to?
Basically, we're going to set them a trap.
yeah.
I'm a hunter.
Yeah.
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 Hunt the Wolverine.
I'm a
Which-
hunter. You
and
know
this
what I
really,
mean.
this whole scenario screwed me up. But we'll get into it. Keep going.
I do like, though, just how stock this character is, that you see the Spetsnaz guy and his mustache, and you know exactly what he's there for. Not being able to understand one word he said. I'm like, this is
I was kind of surprised by that. Yeah.
this is like the big bad that's gonna hunt them down. He's gonna take the fight to them.
I mean, there were decent cues. He comes in there with his long ass stick that he's pointing at his flashcards on the wall with, and everybody stands up for him because he's
Pictures
a
of
big
Wolverines.
Yeah, pictures of Wolverines.
So now the Spetsnaz are on. They're sneaking through the woods, and they're coming to get the Wolverines. And you just have no explanation for how the Wolverines are this much better. Now, again, knowing what we know now, the Spetsnaz is not that impressive. But in the 80s, you'd be like, how the fuck did they just get the drop on a special forces squad that knows where they are? But they do, and they just gun them all down.
Yep.
And
Almost all of them.
yeah, well,
They get one.
yeah, they get a
captive.
prisoner, and while they're just doing all kinds of war crimes,
Fucking
this
expressions
this
in
prisoner,
Deutsch. What the hell? They're not Germans.
he
what the fuck?
maybe in their teenage brains they're like, maybe he's from East Germany.
No, well, that was also the girl who, as you pointed out earlier,
Yeah.
kind of acted like a 5-year-old sometimes. So
well,
So
Or also, a lot of European people speak more than one European language. And
I guess.
No,
I don't think that's what her tactic was.
Yeah, no, she says "Sprechen des Deutsch,"
Deutsch.
and one of the other guys says he's not.
He's not Russian.
No, he's not.
Cuban.
I don't even think he says he's not Russian. He's not Swiss or something.
I think.
And you don't speak Dutch anyway, so
I think
she's just.
our pilot friend summed it up when he said, "You watch too many movies," and that's pretty
That's
much it.
fair.
She's just going on
Yeah.
what she's seen in
And then
movies.
she goes, "Se habla inglés."
Yeah.
After that.
Yeah.
Also, fucking hardcore Robert now. I like that after they gun down all but one of the Russians, he pulls out his sawed-off now, and he's just like, I'm making sure all y'all are dead.
Yep.
Just goes body to body,
Yeah.
shotgunning
He
them.
fucking
Double
flings
tap.
the-
Yeah, the holster.
scabbard off of it.
Point
yeah.
blank shotgun blast to the face.
So, while they're all like just yelling at this prisoner,
It's a demonic laughter, Rob.
Charlie Sheen's like, "Hey, this thing with like one button and one dial and one like gauge is pointing at Daryl
And a beeper.
and a beeper. Like, what is this box that points at Daryl to?"
It's a virginity detector.
It's gaydar.
Yeah,
Brokeback Mountain.
they're like, "Daryl, they tracked your gayness up here."
I didn't know, Daryl.
So we find out Daryl went to town on his own. Somehow they didn't. None of them noticed that.
I go, what?
Tactics.
Then his treacherous ass dad turned him in, and the Spetsnaz made him swallow a tracker, and he came back and led all the Spetsnaz here. So Patrick Swayze ain't having any of that. So he beats the shit out of Daryl. Then they have him and the prisoner standing next to each other, and the prisoner's like, he's like, "I know I'm dead. I'm gonna taunt you with what little English I know." He's like, "I show you how Russian die," and
Your mother smells of elderberries.
Patrick Swayze's like, "I think I can kill you." "Yeah, I could kill you," and shoots him.
I could
Wow.
definitely
But he's got to think about it for a sec. But then he's looking at Daryl, and Daryl's like, "Please don't kill me." And he's like, and Robert's like, "What are you doing?" Just walks up and just guns him down.
Yeah.
He's the enemy now.
Murderer.
And not even like a shot to the head, like AK-47s across his chest. And
Yep.
just-
Yeah.
he suffers before
Puts
he
a
dies.
bunch of bullets
Falls
in him.
over, coughs, whines. It sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks.
So, yeah, Jeb has another good cry.
He's having a bad month.
Yeah. And,
Yeah, that's the scene where he has to take the picture. I'm assuming it's either
It's him and his brother.
yeah,
it was him and his brother.
possibly
Yes.
their dad, I think.
I didn't see
I don't
it.
think his
maybe
dad
not.
was there. I
Okay.
think it's just him and his brother,
Yeah.
and he's just
in
kind
their,
of.
in their baseball uniforms.
I think it's supposed to be more of a, crying over the lost childhood kind of thing.
So let's go fight a convoy here. And they're about to attack another Russian convoy. And I'm assuming by this point they're running really low on supplies because they make a bunch of dumb decisions
They're
really
not
quick.
running high on intelligence.
There's so much wrong here.
So the Russians are like, "I don't know, let's have a piss break on the side of the road. We'll just hang out here."
in their territory.
Yeah. And then we'll just drive away. And some boxes will magically fall off the back of the truck.
Who could have noticed those giant
Yeah.
boxes?
Team Rocket
full of
dumping,
frosted
dumping
flakes
food
and
again.
oranges and apples and
Yeah.
all kinds of
Loose
pears.
produce.
Everything
so am I.
a child of the 80s would want.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Jennifer Grey, go over there and touch that."
Yeah.
She goes running off.
It's like, I'm not just going to touch
And
it.
now-
I'm going to touch it on my insides.
Oh, yeah, she puts half of it in her
So
face.
here's the thing. Like, I don't know if we have to take it to Fat Jack
Maybe she
Court
is
or not,
right.
but
We might have to.
she went ham sandwich on all this. She's like, "I'm taking one bite out of everything, and I'm just dropping food on the ground. I'm dumping shit everywhere."
She's their poison tester.
Yeah.
She's
She's
either
a
that cyanide
taster.
in it.
I did question that while we were watching this.
Yeah.
Now you just had someone swallow a tracker. You just dealt with that situation.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at all this magical bounty we found.
In my head, I was just picturing those donuts from Ninja Turtles 2 with the friggin' ice cubes or whatever inside.
So
So now they just need to shove a fire extinguisher down Jennifer Gray's throat.
Yes,
so
yes.
first off,
or a brass.
Turn back into a turtle. I don't know.
Do we give her a yellow card for wasting food?
But just
I mean,
total
I don't know if she
wahoo.
wasted it. She was just a pig.
Yeah.
I assume she finished all of
Yeah,
those
is that-
things that
no,
she started.
So we give her like an unsportsmanlike conduct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely on sportsmanlike.
Now the rest of the team, like this is only peripherally food related, but I think they should get a yellow card for like too good to be true. You should have
Oh, yeah,
known
this
what
was-
was
this
happening.
was
Oh
serious.
yeah.
Like
I mean,
you let your belly make the decisions for you.
Granted, like,
Only we're allowed to
Well-
do that.
yeah. I'm
Well,
sure
I
they were
mean-
feeling very fragile at this point. They
No,
just
yeah.
watched one of their own be gunned down by one of their own.
Even for us though, if I come walking in here,
Yeah.
there's a big pot of like cheese death on the table,
Mm-hmm.
and Rob's like, "Hey, Brick, why don't you have some cheese death?"
Never
no
said
one
that.
else is eating it.
Never
I
would say
know
Mm-hmm.
he put something in there. Maybe his dick, maybe his ass, maybe both.
No, you
don't
can
want
you can
it.
rest assured, Brick, that I would just push you down to the floor and put my dick directly in your mouth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I think it'd be more
What
like
the point?
if
What
you're
was
if you're standing on your front porch and a car comes by and a crock pot of cheese death falls out the trunk with like a bag of chips.
And it's still hot.
I'd be like, "Hey, you dropped this."
See, I have a totally
like this
different.
is too good to be true.
Yeah, I have a totally different thing with this. Which, yeah, they should have smelled something was wrong, but they sent Jennifer Grey
We
out.
just left this crock pot of cheese death and bag of Tostitos on
Yeah.
my
Oh
side.
wow.
They
Sure.
They sent Jennifer Grey out.
Yep.
She got the food. Nobody shot her. Nobody showed up.
She didn't get the clap.
Yeah, so I understand, again, yeah, you kind of let your belly, it's tough times. You need the food. My problem is, why did you not go more than 5 feet
yeah.
away
That was gonna be my
and
next
just
thing.
hang out on the side of the road doing that? Like,
You just like they could not wait. They're like, we're
Nope.
just going back to the rocks, sitting up there like a bunch of buzzards tearing into this thing.
Even with that, as you're going back to a place that you're a lot more familiar with and is more
Yeah.
secure, you could still be eating some of the things on the way.
Yeah.
You can have your cake and eat,
Eat
it
that
too.
shit on your horses.
Yeah,
Go-
on
yeah.
your horses.
And there's trees
Feed your
nearby.
horses, too.
Go under those and eat.
Yeah.
But then she couldn't drip her orange juice on
On the guys.
Yeah.
First of all, that's a fat chat foul. You get
Yes.
sticky ass orange juice
Oh,
on top
yeah.
of my hat.
It's gonna attract
that
ants.
that
Also, with
I
all
obviously
this-
had to make myself.
Don't
Yeah.
citrus another fat chat.
and also with all this going on, like, do not be wasting that.
Plus, yeah, you
sweet
need that
orange,
vitamin
eh?
C to stave off
Yeah,
the scurvy.
is true.
I do also have a legit fat chat quart I would like to bring to the table.
All right.
This is a phrase I've been hearing lately, and I want it stricken from the world.
Okay.
Oh,
Don't yuck my yum.
What the fuck is
Yes.
that?
Never heard it.
No?
No.
Okay, I've heard it multiple times now.
I don't like it.
Yeah, it's awful.
Is that like
It's yucky.
don't make my food gross or what is
No.
No,
it?
it's like don't
It's a-
ruin my good time.
yeah, it's a general, like, if you like something, I shouldn't shit on
It's
it.
a don't rain on my parade, really. is
Okay,
what
hey,
it
first
boils
off,
down.
that's what we were put on this world to do.
Well,
One.
Yes, but I'm speaking just in the overarching entire universe worth of. It's just a disgusting phrase.
Yeah. Two, like, yeah, the phrase sucks.
It's like loosely translated, it could be like "Don't come on my candy," like "Don't yuck my yum." It's so gross. It sounds so disgusting to me.
I
don't-
kind of want to do that as the retort if I hear anybody say
That's
that.
fine.
come
Absolutely.
on
You
my
hear it
candy.
again, yeah, and be like, "Yeah, don't come on my candy, bro."
Yeah. Oh,
that's all. I just needed to bring that up
No,
because I've heard it
red
multiple
card.
times.
Get
and
that can never be admitted in court. Again.
It's gross.
Yeah.
Nobody that's listening should ever say that phrase ever.
I don't argue with that.
You've heard, or I will shoot you point blank.
Oh, now we've gone
With a
off
sawed-off
the rails.
shotgun.
Put a sawed-off shotgun.
So Patrick,
See, that's where you take it from. I can
won't
agree
cry
to
about
this. To you're just the old man going, "Get off my lawn, kids!"
No, I'm the old man going, "Don't yuck my yum."
On a shotgun full of Tic Tacs.
That would hurt.
just
still.
like
Real
Dick Cheney
bad.
someone with that.
I don't even want to know what that would do.
12 gauge full of rock salt right to the
Oh,
tits.
not okay.
And I can see like the person just lying on the ground, like and just picking them out and like
Yeah,
That's how the Skittles guy
Yeah.
got created.
Full of rock salt and powdered lemon.
so.
minty.
Yeah, the final foul on Jennifer Grey before she gets taken out of this picture. I think this earns her the red card that gets her killed. She's too busy citrusing Patrick Swayze when he's on lookout for attack helicopter detail.
Yeah.
And these dumbasses just sitting on the rocker, hanging out there when the 3 Mi-24 gunships just come flying over. And
I did appreciate that they showed the shots of the canyon walls, and they were like, "Echo, Echo, you've been ambushed," because you have no idea which direction they're coming from.
I like that, but that also annoyed me because I'm like, wait, you're in a canyon.
Oh.
And you have to worry about helicopter? You are fucked.
Yeah, you got
up.
nowhere
You are
to go.
Fucking up.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, completely fucked up. Like, there's no trees, there's rocks, but
I am a hunter.
yeah.
So-
and my prey got stupid.
That was the other problem I had here is we had the scene about, you know, to outfox a fox, you need to be foxy or
Foxier
whatever.
than the fox.
Yeah. And I'm the hunter and so on. Immediately followed by a scene where we just find out that the mayor's kid went to town and got a tracking chip
Yep.
in his belly. I thought that was the trap. So then when we get trap 2, I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like, what?
Fool me once.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
This
what?
man has more than one trap.
Yeah,
he's a cunning
He
hunter.
really did yuck there.
No, but the first one apparently wasn't even the trap. That just happened to be happening, coinciding with what like who edited this shit?
So anyway,
Conan.
fucking
Good,
Jennifer.
a good hunter has multiple traps.
So Jennifer Grey has eaten so much that her puffy jacket is now filled with squibs. And her chest explodes.
yeah.
And Patrick Swayze's like, "Nah, I could save her." Picks her up, brings her on the horse.
Just grabs her by the neck.
Yeah, first he drags her to the horse.
Yeah. Robert, meanwhile, has a look on his face like, "We fucked up. Oh well." I'm just gonna take my RPG and fire it inside this helicopter.
Great shot.
Which I'm pretty sure they're like, we can't afford to crash this.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
we're just
definitely.
gonna have it go over there.
Yeah, it's gonna swing around for a bit.
It's gonna kill the gunman inside, but
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah, we'll set off a smoke bomb inside.
So then Robert just kind of stands there as the next helicopter comes, and he's like, "I don't got another rocket, and you're right there, so just
Can I
kill me,
punch
I
you?
guess."
It's like in GTA when you're just like, all right, let's see how this
Yeah,
goes.
he just didn't give a fuck
No,
anymore.
but that is, and like the music swells like this is some big,
Yeah.
dramatic death scene or whatever. But I'm like, you're just an idiot. Like
It's
this
like
is...
Tiananmen Square. It's a a Wolverine facing down an attack helicopter.
No, but like he had plenty of places to try and run. There's
Yes.
things
Yeah,
he could
he
have
did
done.
not-
Like,
he
it's
did
like-
not care.
I'm
Yes,
done
yeah.
fighting. I'm gonna die on my feet.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. But fuck.
So you're like,
It's just stupid. Like I wanted him to have a closer to Jennifer Grey's, I guess. So I'm getting ahead of it.
so yeah, I'm thinking
he
the whole
took down
movie,
one of the helicopters.
we're gonna have to at some point in the movie deal with the fact that Robert is like has become a liability. Nope. No, he just goes out like, he has a like. I'm not mad at his death, but I'm like, that whole thing you're building up with him just didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So
Well, but even his death, like it just, it's I don't know, it's just so pointless. Which maybe I guess is the point because the whole thing's about how pointless war is. But like,
Well, that anger burned him up.
Yep.
So Jennifer Grey's like, she falls off the horse. She's like, "I can't go on anymore. I need you to kill me." And Patrick Swayze's like, "I can't do that." She's like, "All right, just give me a grenade." And I'm like, how is she not just like, 'cause, like, she got gunned down by an attack helicopter.
I
There's-
think we're overblowing how much
Yeah.
she got shot up. As far as I could tell, she only got one puncture wound like in her side.
yeah, one shot.
I thought it was closer.
it was
up to,
it was at least in a lung.
It was like right
prob-
here from what I saw.
no, it was a little higher, probably.
Okay.
Yeah,
whatever.
either way, with that gun on the helicopter,
Yeah,
you're done.
Like,
It's
no,
not
I
a
get
22.
it. I get
No,
it.
because
She
she
should
was
have a hole about that big.
Yeah.
no, because she was like, it's okay. I actually in the box I grabbed some gushers.
No, I'm
It's
talking,
not-
like, I'm talking specifically as far as movies are concerned.
Yeah.
Like,
Fair enough. So either way, she's like, "I gotta have a heroic death. Give me a grenade.
Actually,
Pull the pin for me."
that makes me think about something. All of the equipment that they've gotten, all of the equipment,
Yep.
don't they have like plate carriers in use when you're in the field, or is that just considered extra weight? And they're
That
like,
wouldn't make a
don't-
difference against the attack helicopter.
No.
What are you talking about?
or-
Like for body armor?
Yeah.
Yeah, against that gun, you're
No,
not stopping
okay.
that.
And even against most
That gun is
assault
made
rifles,
to go
unless
through
you have
other helicopters.
a very heavy
right?
like
other like stuff.
plate steel.
Yeah, like class 4.
Yeah.
Even
3A, I think, will take care of any handgun and some long guns, but not a lot of them.
Yeah, to stop, they're mostly using AK-47s on them. To stop something like that, you would need a solid ceramic plate, but even then, one shot, it's done.
Okay.
They're not
yeah, and then if
reusable.
you're
And-
gotcha.
Or you'd have to have
And if you got
think
it from Russian soldiers, that ceramic plate's probably not even there.
yeah, it's just cardboard.
That's probably long since been sold.
Very good point. Very good. It's a dinner plate.
Okay, I think you're helping me a previous statement helped me pinpoint my problem with this. Robert's anger didn't burn him up. He ended up dying because he gave the fuck up.
Yep.
That's my problem. It would be one thing if this was like, there's the army here. I think I could take him, and he ran out with the machine gun and was firing
That
like
would've
crazy.
made a lot more sense.
And he got gunned down. Then his anger burned him up. But this was like there's helicopters.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think he was trying to make it so that the other kids could get away, drawing the helicopters fire.
And
Again,
they
not-
do somehow. Like where the Russians just like, we got one. That's enough for today.
That means they're all
Well,
dead.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
like-
I didn't read that as giving up. I read it as I know what I have to do.
Yeah.
I'm
But he
gonna,
didn't
I'm
do
gonna
anything.
take down
He
this.
just stood
But even that just
But it
not
works.
fitting with his character.
It's like, I'm
or
gonna
anything.
die, but I'm gonna do this, and they're gonna be able to get away.
Yeah, it fits
It's
with his
so
character because
unsatisfying.
it's a character that is totally devoid of fear and
Yeah.
rationality. He's just like, all right,
nothing
Yeah, but
to
he
lose.
also is very selfish. He doesn't seem like I'm a team player. He's I'm just in this for the murder.
I mean, I didn't really read
Well, no,
that.
I think he struck me as he was taking part in the
Yeah.
team. Like, he
Well,
loved
okay,
the murder, but
it was
he
all about the team.
I'm sorry,
That's the
it's
thing.
not that he's not a team player, but he is more in it for the murder than saving the others.
No, but he's so in it for the team that he's like, this guy betrayed the team. He dies.
Yep.
That's it. You betrayed the Wolverines, you die.
Maybe again,
And he just
could have
has
been
no
handled better.
remorse or second thought about taking a life.
So, like, the attack helicopter would not have gone over his head. He would have caught it.
Yeah. But yeah, also I think that is why the helicopters let them get away, because apparently they count one as 17.
Well, yeah, that on their reports they killed like all the Wolverines.
Yeah.
They killed more.
They said
Pro-
12, yeah.
They
Probably
killed-
for like the
12
fifth time they've killed the Wolverines on their
They
reports.
killed the militia that trained them, too.
Yeah.
I'm also assuming somebody counted each horse as a Wolverine.
Yeah. So one more Russian dies, picking up Jennifer Grey. At this point, that's happened. Like, so many Russians have been killed by bombs from these people. They're just like, fuck that guy.
Yeah, the guy
It's like,
kind
I'm
of
gonna die. I can't hold the trigger anymore. I'm just gonna sit on it.
Yeah.
And then when they pick up my corpse,
And this,
I mean-
this Russian dude like grabs her by her hair and is just like,
Yeah.
And he gets what he deserves,
And
I guess.
the main guy that's on site there, just kind of like, you'd see the human equivalent of his ears perking up, and he's just like, oh.
another one of my guys just died.
All right, so now we cut to Charlie Sheen, Matt. He's talking to Leia Thompson and to Danny, and she's like, "You're all that's left. You guys got to go." They're like, "Well, we want to help you," and they're like, "No, we're gonna go into town and raise hell so you two can get away. Someone's got to survive, and it ain't gonna be us. So you two get out of here." And they're like, "Okay." And Leia Thompson gives him a hug. It's like, "Okay, I forgive you now for trying to make me do the dishes."
And where's Away?
I don't know.
All right. I was not alone in that, at least.
I was going to ask
The
that question when
free-
we got to that part where they claim to be free.
The free range realm.
So,
But
That blue line
yeah, but that's I
in between the
thought
pink
the whole
blobs.
thing was they got to that big battlefield and they couldn't cross it. That's where they were headed then. And
This
I don't
time,
know.
they just asked the tanks not to be there when they were going to go and cross.
Yeah.
Why did they do that the first?
Well, they didn't think of that,
Yeah.
Tony. Tactical fail. When you're going to
because
cross
fucking the Colonel and Arturo were too busy fucking around on the tank.
Yeah,
they didn't get
yeah.
time to ask him.
Exactly. Just can I borrow your radio? Can you translate this into Russian for me?
Oh no, that's what the colonel was doing. He's just trying to get up there. Like, would you guys mind not being? Oh, you hit me with a grenade. Never mind. All right. Well, there goes that idea.
They just Charlie Sheen and Patrick Swayze go into town. They're loaded with they got rocket launchers, machine guns, they got all the stuff. They're like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando. And the Russian soldiers here are about as effective as as the soldiers fighting Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando. Because they start shooting.
They're about as effective as the camel against Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, that's about right. So the one bad guy, the colonel that we're supposed to feel sympathetic for, he's writing to his wife and he's like, what am I even doing here? This sucks.
It's cold. I hate the cold. It gets into your
I miss the
shorts
sun.
and
yeah.
scratchy.
Something's exploding. Something's exploding. I gotta go.
Yeah. I hate sand. It's coarse. It gets everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's just an explosion. And now the Russians just begin shooting, but you never see at what. And
I don't think they cared.
yeah,
They don't see it. What? And they're just,
they're just shooting. And
It's that grazing fire.
yeah. Charlie Sheen's pulling the pins on hand grenades. He's handing them to Patrick Swayze. He was just going on a hand grenade rampage.
One for you, one for you, one for you.
Potato number one.
One Russian runs up to him like, "Are you the bad guys?" And they're like, "Yeah," and they shoot him, and he rolls down some stairs.
Ow!
And the colonel comes outside, and this one dumbass that's with him, they get shot at, so they duck for cover, and then the idiot just stands back up again and gets shot right in the chest. You're like, okay, you earned that.
Ow!
And the colonel's aide guy that's been with him for parts of the movie, he starts chasing after Sheen and Swayze. But little does he know, they're about to fire some RPGs at General Bad Guy. He steps out of a trailer and he's like, "Oh no!" And the trailer fucking explodes, and the guy that was following him gets a face full of backblast. He's like, "My eyes!" And then they're like, "Let's just get on this train going through town. Hide behind some guns and we'll get out of here." But Mr. Spetsnaz, the hunter, he's like, too smart for that. I could smell Sheen from a mile away. Gets out his shitty little machine pistol and puts some bullets in Charlie Sheen. So
Ow.
he's bleeding. They both hop off the train and leave their assault rifles behind on the train. And
For safekeeping.
yeah. So the Russian guy waits
to
for
it
the
later.
train to pass, starts following the blood trail. And dumbass Patrick Swayze walks out and he's like, "You lose." And the guy turns around like, "What?" Then he shoots him, but the guy's like, "I'm not dead yet," and shoots Patrick Swayze.
So you lose. No,
yeah.
you lose. No, you lose.
So he goes, "You lose. It's a tie."
Dumb motherfucker.
Idiot.
So Mr. Spetsnaz is dead, but now both Patrick Swayze and Charlie Sheen are shot.
Yeah.
So Patrick Swayze picks him up and starts carrying him back to a park that in the town.
Yeah, it's the park when they were kids that their father used to come pick them up.
So the one bad guy we know that's left, he's there. He comes across him and he's like, he's pointing the AK-47 at him. He's just like, I can't do it. Just go die on
Go
the
bleed
bench.
to death over there.
Some of my soldiers will come by and kill you. I don't know. I'm not killing some kids, even though you killed hundreds of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many.
Probably
Men, women, children alike. Sure.
Yeah. But the colonel's like, "I'm done. I can't do this anymore." So he lets him go. They just sit on a bench in each other's arms. I think Charlie Sheen's probably just dead at this point.
Oh, I think he was
he's
dead for
very
a
much
while.
dead.
Yeah.
And then, Patrick Swayze's talking about
Hallucinating.
"I'll hold you as long as I can."
Daddy's
Daddy's
coming.
coming.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you don't see how that ends, but presumably they're dead. And it cuts to Leia Thompson and Danny just walking down a mountainside, and they see a prairie ahead of them, and they're like, "We're free."
Yes, they made it back to Kansas.
Sure. Like where the fuck are you? There's nothing there.
Literally, they made it back to Kansas.
So
But what does that mean?
yeah.
Even it's the free territory. Then what? You're not in safe grounds exactly. You're not getting food and water.
You'll be
Yeah,
fine.
they got to hike to the nearest
So
outpost.
Leia Thompson's like, "This war ended somehow, like all wars do." And I come back to this place, this partisan rock, where earlier in the movie, Patrick Swayze carved all the Wolverines' names on it. And, she reads the inscription on it about all the partisans that fought in the early months of World War III. And then the movie, again, in all of its masterful transitions, it's just like, boom, 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 and it's flashing the cast at you, and you're like, movie, calm down.
They did it.
Yeah, and it's over.
Yay.
They'll keep fighting, and they'll win.
They'll get the bugs eventually.
Oh, they'll have to swallow them first.
Bugs, and you'll like it.
Red Dawn,
Red Dawn.
1984.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm tired.
That was a tiring movie.
Well, it's
late
also
for
like
Rob.
well past my bedtime.
4 a.m.
Yeah. It's 4 a.m. plus, and
yeah.
I'm out of water.
8 a.m. now.
All that anger burned me up.
All right, so I'm going to assume you're going to want to know what it said on RottenTomatoes.com, where critics gave this a score of 52% and audience gave this a score of 65%. That's their thoughts and opinions. But what about you and yours, Rob, before we fall asleep?
Pass.
Just pass. You got nothing?
I need to hear.
Like, for
I need to
now,
hear
or like-
arguments either
Okay.
for or against. I need to. think about
Joe.
This is tough because I watched this movie so much when I was a kid, mostly just fast forwarding through all the dialogue and just watching the Wolverine shoot people. And like I had such fond memories of it, but at the time I didn't realize just how implausible the scenario is. But if you can get past that, it's really implausible as to like how these kids are just suddenly this amazing guerrilla force. How they survive for so long and kill so many Russians. And then if you could get past that, you're like, this movie it wasted a lot of opportunities. Like, it has this amazing cast. Now, granted, they're all young and they're all not great actors at this point. They haven't fully honed their crafts, but like...
Patrick Swayze's pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like... you squandered that. Like, you had characters that I'm interested in. Like, I wanted to explore more of Leah Thompson's character arc. I wanted to explore more of Robert's, like, descent into insanity. I think that Charlie Sheen's character didn't need to be there at all. And I think if you took him out and, like, put those two in a little bit more, doing a little bit more of the stuff.
Well, he was the anchor point for Jeb to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, he was his brother. Just
but
make
like,
it count.
Yeah. I think you could have had Robert be his brother, and that would be way more interesting.
And terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, but then you kind of you're missing that thing of he's supposed to be the good conscience to Jeb, and Robert is essentially the evil conscience.
Yeah,
and kind
but
of that.
My point is, like, something had to get cut somewhere, and this
Yes.
movie's almost 2 hours long.
You
So-
didn't need the pilot.
You probably
really
didn't
need
need
the
the
pilot.
Colonel.
Yeah.
Well, he really was the only way,
Or
in
Tony.
the context they were given.
He was an
that you could have
exposition
done
dummy.
the
Yeah, him or
exposition,
Tony
yeah.
for that.
But like, you could have had scenes in camp where they listened to the radio and got
Yeah.
that information.
Yeah, like or just that scene where they're at that old man's house.
Yeah.
And if they had a few extras in the background that were like people fighting with them, that maybe we don't focus on them at all, and we develop some of the characters rather than like half-ass,
that I'm
like,
totally with.
try to half-ass 7 characters. Why don't we try to do like 3 or 4 well, and then have some extras in the background? And then you could have them take some casualties in a battle and, explore that too. It probably, like, some of these battles, like, something needed to be done, because they're all just one-sided slaughters, and they're all literally just them shooting Russians. And you're constantly wondering, like, how'd they get in this position? How did this go so wrong for the Russians? Like, how did this happen? And I would have liked to have had less battles that maybe we explore a little more, like, have them sneaking into the base, have them talk about the plan a little bit, or, something. Have a little bit more diversity and interesting stuff in the action. So overall, this movie, there's not a whole lot to it to like, and it sort of bothered me just how, like, I felt like this could have been really good, and this really is my kind of movie. Like, I like we had a bunch of cool tanks, we had like a big war going on. This is usually the stuff I really get into. So I have like a nostalgic feeling from watching this so often as a kid, that I don't want to say that I don't like this movie, but I don't really like this movie. I feel like this is something, remaking this was a terrible idea, and making another movie called Red Dawn is a terrible idea, but I feel like this could be remade, especially in like after the Ukraine conflict's done,
Yeah.
as like some sort of a group of people becoming partisans in a more realistic scenario than trying to have like some American kids, we get attacked by who knows what.
I mean, I'm sure they're going to do some kind of a movie on Snake Island. The Snake Island, what was it? The Snake Island 12?
Yeah.
Something like that.
So, you know, I prefer this any day over what we got in the late 90s and early 2000s where they were like, well, we can't have it be Russians or Chinese or anything, so it's got to be aliens. You know, I'll still take this over that, but I don't like it.
Wait, what?
You know how like suddenly we got like Independence Day and then we got like the Battle for Los Angeles or
yes. Okay.
Battleship or any of those where they're like, we need something for our boys to fight. Transformers.
No, yeah, no, that's fine. I just,
Yeah.
I just was like, wow, the remake of Red Dawn is way different than I was expecting.
Yeah. So
I got
So
you.
the North Koreans are aliens. That explains a lot. But
yeah, I'm trying to think what would I recommend instead of this.
Yeah, I almost feel like this needs a new category.
And I don't know. I don't know what I would recommend
Hunt for
instead
Red
of this
October.
movie.
Okay, so
Well, but that's not the same kind
No.
of kind of
Rob
movie.
passed Joe's undecided. We're doing great.
Well, no,
so
no,
far.
I'm not recommending this. There's not enough meat on this bone, and I feel like somebody took a good piece of meat that could have been made into something amazing,
Well, I think
and then they fucked it up.
the movie's got good bones.
Yeah,
It needs more meat.
that's right. Yeah, good call.
Yes.
Yeah,
So, John, want to continue with that thought?
Yeah, no, I feel pretty much the same way. Like the redneck blood in me, enjoys this movie for the spirit of the
multitude of reasons.
the underdog country folk being able to hide out in the woods and stand up to a superior force. But yeah, was not well executed. Aside from the soundtrack, Basil rocked it.
yeah, it did have a good sound.
So overall, not a right.
All right.
Yeah, especially if you don't have any background. If you're one of the younger folks that doesn't have the background on the Cold War with the USSR in America, you'll just be lost.
Brick.
So I have an interesting take on this
Oh, no.
because, well, hear me out, and I'll try and be brief. Before we started recording this podcast, I was like, what the hell movie? I was like, there's so many things that you did that just don't make any damn sense. You didn't think through this whole thing. And over the course of recording the podcast, it started occurring to me, they might have potentially done a lot of the things that I nitpicked or criticized on purpose. If they did that, all of the things about like the tactics not making sense, the war scenario not making sense, the sudden jump scenes between like, oh, we're having an emotional moment, now we're attacking a caravan.
Now a man explodes.
And now a man explodes. And now we're playing football with a colonel. Maybe that was all intentional because potentially the point was this doesn't make sense and it shouldn't be happening regardless the reason. It doesn't matter what the circumstances were that started it. War is bad. And if that was their point,
And that is the ultimate point of.
well, it's the ultimate point, but if they were almost doing it, I almost want to say as more like an artsy film where they were using all of this extra stuff almost literally as like cannon fodder, and they're like, look, bloodshed and war and glory and like underdogs and all this other stuff, and they're like, ultimately, what does it get you? You're dead. If they were trying to go for that, I could recommend it, but I don't know if that's what they actually intended to do. So I think if you want to look at it as an artistic movie or as a philosophical movie and you want to analyze it for that, go for it. Watch the movie. If you're not interested in doing that kind of work while you're watching a movie, don't bother. It will make your head explode with so many tactical fouls and just logistical issues. So I would not recommend it to the general audience. It's for people who want to put in the effort, you do you.
I'm going to write no. And yeah, I'm basically in the same boat of thinking like this almost needs a new category of I liked this when I was younger, and I now I'm not so sure why. Like, and I'm certainly behind the message of war is bad, and like killing and all this crap is usually doesn't get us very far. Accomplish a whole lot ultimately, but yeah, it is not handled well, and sadly, it almost feels like this is a good movie that could be remade. Obviously not, or at least the one that we got wasn't very good, and maybe it just needs to
Has to be in somebody's good hands.
yeah, it needs to be wait till someone has an idea to remake it rather than just remake it because that's the trend at the time. But yeah, you had all great elements, but and yeah, good bones, but nothing quite worked out.
They blew up the bones and
The way
super glued them back together in the wrong
Well,
order.
it's another one of those cases where because Hollywood is so afraid to not make Americans the focus of the movie, where they will fuck the story up to a point where it's like I can't buy into this at all. Like this would have to be set in another country for it to make any kind of
or
sense.
universe.
Yeah,
Or like a
whatever.
whole made up world.
That's fine. And again,
Yeah.
that's why I say you need to find someone who has an idea to do this rather than,
Yep.
do it for corporate reasons. Because corporate reasons, you're going to get, well, what markets can we sell this to? Because they can't be the bad guy and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, ultimately for me, I'll say not recommend. Rob, have you figured it out?
Yeah, no.
Cool. All right. So, anything we would recommend in place of this?
War of the Worlds.
Oh God, no.
Either one.
No, I'll watch this over either of the War of the Worlds. But the
Rambo.
I see. I was thinking Commando, but
Cloverfield?
it's a very different
I
one.
mean, granted, it's aliens, but it is an occupation thing, and it is people who are not military professionals. It's at least more interesting.
I've never seen Cloverfield.
It's a bunch of whiny Starbucks baristas running from a Godzilla.
Yeah, there was nothing I've heard or saw about that movie. Don't have any interest.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, Commando. If you just want to see someone shoot a bunch of people, like Commando's the way to go.
How about Shin Godzilla? That's a good one.
Why do we keep going to kaiju?
Well, I mean, it's close enough. it's the Red Army.
I don't even know what to put for this
It's
one.
an
So whatever.
occupation film.
I don't care.
If the-
I'm just tired. Let's go.
The Red Army was a kaiju. It would be like Godzilla's son or whatever. Or it would just be some dumpy thing that falls over all the time.
Well, that's basically what Shin Godzilla is. It's
Ah.
like starts out as just a dumpy thing.
But
Like a
the end of
fish.
it,
Yeah.
he's a dumpy.
Yeah.
I think that there is also a pretty significant aspect of this movie being almost like a propaganda piece.
Yeah.
So that might also be factoring into having difficulty finding
Hollywood
a parallel.
doesn't do that.
Well, yeah, that's another problem with remaking this as well.
I think it's your world.
I think it is Tony's
I
role.
don't want to.
It's
I'll do
the
it.
80s.
All right.
Are you gonna yield your role to Brick?
You can do that.
Nope.
Roll.
Nope.
So,
Or me?
so Rob,
If you roll it to-
no, I don't want you to roll another 20 and make us watch some damn thing. So since Rob's already asleep, I'll let you know that it's now time for us to roll the D20 of fate. Apparently, it's my turn. This whole
I
year has
rolled
been
this.
shit. I'm not happy about this. Let's go. Is that a 1?
That's a 17.
17.
It's got a 1 in it.
What was that?
17 is 1996's The
Nope.
Phantom.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Billy Zane in a
Billy
tight purple
Zane
suit.
In a tight purple suit.
Insane in the membrane.
Yeah. It's insane. You can see his dick.
I think this is Christy Swanson too.
Does it? I've never seen The Phantom. I don't think.
I don't know if I've seen it all the way through. I saw enough to know. I'm like, this is not good.
It's gonna be bad.
I'm not sure I've seen it on
Yeah.
one sitting.
Everybody gird your
His
loins.
powers are he's purple and he has 2 handguns.
Those are John's powers.
Yeah.
And he can channel the spirits of animals.
Oh. you go.
We're watching John.
I'm
the
pretty sure.
autobiography.
I'm pretty sure John could kick this superhero's ass.
John, do you want to get a quick summary recording of your dad's thoughts on the movie?
Ooh. I'm not
On
sure
this
how that-
movie or on Phantom?
On the Phantom. My dad loves the Phantom.
Yeah.
It's one of his
All right.
comic book heroes growing up. Right along with Flash Gordon,
In the shadow.
The Shadow. Yep.
Which we did.
Nice.
We should do Flash Gordon. Anyway,
We should just find a guy named Gordon and flash him collectively.
Won't be the first time.
give him the old hammer and anvil.
That's right. 3, 2, 1. Drop.
Oh man. That's,
I gotta go.
Yeah, get out of my house. All right, well,
Tony, don't drink the microphone.
passed out into the microphone.
join us next time for The Phantom, where I will try and find exclusively purple snacks.
Huh.
In the meantime, don't yuck my yum.
You said we can't
Yeah.
do
Fucking
it. That
hypocrite.
means all of us.
Have you just figured out he's a hypocrite?
Adios.
Bye, everybody.
Das
Das
Vidanya.
Vidanya.
Good night, everybody.
Adios.
In
Wolverines.
Soviet Russia, podcast ends you. Hey everybody, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe, and if possible, leave a review. If you have questions, comments, or would like to sponsor an episode, email us at the4ampodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to support the show, you can buy a t-shirt, hoodie, and more at Teespring. Or gain access to exclusive content by becoming a patron at patreon.com/4ampodcast. Thanks again for listening. See you next time.